Good morning, dear friend. The sky is just beginning to change, painted with soft strokes of amber and silver. Like heaven itself is opening its eyes for the first time today. The world is quiet in these early hours. And if you pause long enough, you can almost hear your own soul whisper. There is something sacred about this moment, the silence before the rush, the breath before the burdens, the stillness before life demands your strength again. This is not just another morning. This is the divine threshold of a new beginning. And maybe, just maybe, this morning finds you wary. Perhaps you are sitting at the edge of your bed, eyes swollen from tears you did not let anyone see last night. Maybe you have been fighting a battle no one knows about, a report from the doctor that changed everything, a betrayal that cracked the foundation of your trust, a financial weight that feels too heavy to carry. Or maybe it is not one single blow, but the slow erosion of joy, of hope, of purpose that has left you numb. You smile in front of others, but inside, you wonder how long you can keep pretending. There is a woman I once met who shared her story with me quietly. She had lost her job after 20 years, the only stability she had known. Her children had grown distant. Her prayers, she said, felt like they were bouncing off the ceiling. I still believe in God, she whispered, but I do not know if he remembers me. Her eyes searched mine not for answers, but for evidence that she was not invisible to heaven. I did not offer a sermon. I offered silence. And then one sentence: blessings do not always wait for you to find them. Sometimes they are already on their way to find you. This morning, I want to tell you the same thing. You are not forgotten. You are not unseen. You are not left behind. And though life has taught you to chase, strive, perform, and prove your worth, there is a deeper truth waiting quietly beneath all of it. You need most is not earned, it is already in motion, sent by a loving God, chasing you down with grace. The pain you are carrying is real, but so is the promise. There is a blessing on its way to your doorstep. Not because you deserve it, but because you are loved. Not because you performed perfectly, but because your heart still beats, still hopes, still dares to believe that maybe, just maybe, something good could find you again. This is not a formula. It is a relationship. And prayer is how we return to that relationship, not as strangers, but as children, not with polished words, but with open hearts. You do not need to understand everything. You do not need to feel strong. You do not even need to know what to say. You just need to come. Bring your honest heart, your aching questions, your quiet hopes. God is not waiting for you to be ready. He has been waiting for you to show up. In the next moments, we will walk together not to a finish line, but into a sacred conversation. This is not about religion. It is about connection, about returning to the one who never stopped walking toward you. So take a breath. Let the noise fall away. Let your soul lean in. There is something beautiful about to unfold, not because we are chasing it, because we are finally slowing down enough to receive it. Welcome Dear friend, let us begin. Dear Heavenly Father, this morning I come to you not with grand words, but with a heart that feels tired and stretched thin. I wake up and the world feels dry, not just the air, not just my surroundings, but something deeper inside. Feels like I am walking through a desert, dust beneath my feet, silence in the skies, and thirst that nothing in this world seems able to quench. I am here, Father, but if I am honest, I do not feel strong. I do not feel joyful. I feel like a field that has gone too long without rain, like cracked earth waiting for mercy to fall. I open my eyes to a quiet morning, and I wonder if today will be any different. I wonder if this day will carry something fresh, something alive, something holy. Because lately, it feels like I have been moving through the motions, doing what needs to be done, smiling when I am expected to smile. Carrying responsibilities, managing expectations, holding things together when inside I feel like I am barely holding myself. I do not come to you pretending. I come as I am, not polished, not put together, just real, just raw, just longing for something more than routine, longing for something deeper than noise, longing for something that actually heals, not just hides the hurt. You see my heart, even when I try to hide it. You know the thoughts I do not speak, the heaviness I carry silently, the ache that I bury beneath business. You see the questions that keep me up at night. You see the fears I try to suppress. And still, you do not turn away. Still, you wait for me in the morning, offering presents before I even ask. Father, in this dry place, I come searching, not for solutions, not for answers, but for you, for your voice, for your breath, for the kind of presence that does not fix everything immediately, but makes it all feel lighter somehow. I do not need a lightning bolt from the sky. I just need to know you are near. I just need to feel you again. I know you have not left, but sometimes it feels like I am walking alone. The silence can feel so loud. The waiting can feel endless. The prayers feel like they evaporate before they reach heaven. But still, here I am, not because I feel strong, but because I still believe, even if it is a small, trembling belief. Even if my hope is fragile, even if my faith is just a flicker. Because I know this, even in a dry land, you are the God who brings rain. Even in the wilderness, you are the God who makes rivers flow. Even in the silence, you are speaking. Even in the stillness, you are working. So I lead in, not because I know the way forward, but because I trust that you do. Father, I give you the pieces of me that feel broken, the parts of me I am ashamed of, the questions I cannot answer, the pain I try to push aside. I bring it all into the light of your love. I am not asking you to take it all away in a moment. I am asking you to meet me here, in this dry place. Not when I arrive at some better version of myself, but right now, as I am, Sometimes I wonder if blessings are only for people who have it all together. People who pray more, believe more, do more. But today I choose to believe something different. I choose to believe that blessings can find the broken, that blessings can arrive in the wilderness, that blessings are not something I chase, but something that chases me. So I stop running, I stop striving, I stop trying to earn what only you can give. I let my soul exhale, I let my heart open, even just a little, and I whisper what feels hard to say. I need you, not just on Sundays, not just in church, not just when I feel spiritual. I need you in this moment, in the raw, in the restless, in the real. I do not need everything to change right away. I just need you to sit with me here, to remind me that even in dry lands, I am not alone, that even in the places that feel empty, you are still writing something beautiful, that the blessing is not just in the outcome, but in the presence, in your nearness, in your breath brushing over the broken pieces of my soul. Father, teach me to see the holy in the ordinary, to notice the miracle in small things, to be present in this moment without rushing past it in search of the next. Because maybe the blessing I am waiting for is already arriving. Maybe it is not loud. Maybe it is not dramatic. Maybe it is a whisper carried on the wind, gently nudging my heart back to life. I do not want to wait until I feel perfect to come close. I want to come close now, with questions and all, with sorrow and hope sitting side by side in my chest. I want to believe that even dry lands can bloom, that even weary hearts can wake up new, that even this day, this very morning, can carry the scent of something sacred. So I rise, slowly, not with a roar, but with reverence, not with certainty, but with surrender. I lift my eyes and I let this be the beginning of softness, the beginning of trust, the beginning of letting you lead me again, not because I have it figured out, but because you are the God who meets me in the wilderness and speaks life into dust. Dear Heavenly Father, I give you my dry land, not to escape it, but to invite you into it, to walk it with you, to find water I did not know was there, to feel you in the wind, to discover that maybe I was never as far from blessing as I feared. Maybe blessing has been walking toward me all along. Maybe this is not the end. Maybe this is the first sign of rain. Father, this morning I wake with the memory of yesterday's thirst still clinging to me. But something inside feels slightly different, as if the silence that once felt so hollow has now started to hum with something unseen. I cannot name it yet, but I sense it rising slowly, like the softest light spreading across the horizon. It is not loud or certain, but it is there, a quiet knowing, barely formed, but breathing. Hope does not always arrive with a trumpet. Sometimes it comes gently, almost unnoticed, like a whisper breaking through the fog. I am still in the same place. The circumstances have not shifted overnight, but my heart, Lord, feels like it is turning, just a little, toward the sound of something holy. Maybe it is the way the air feels different when I paused to breathe, or the way the early light touches the edge of the sky with tenderness. Maybe it is simply the fact that I woke up today, still choosing to speak to you, that in itself feels like a miracle. I do not need grand gestures, God. I do not need answers that wrap everything up with a bow. I only need your presence in the middle of the unknown. Your nearness in the silence. Your whisper in the wind. I am learning that sometimes the most powerful moments are the quiet ones, where nothing is fixed, but everything begins to feel less heavy. There is a part of me that wants to rush past this fragile moment, to demand more, to grasp for control again. But you are teaching me to stay here, to remain in the stillness long enough to notice the flicker of something new being born. You are not rushed. You are not impatient. And so I slow down with you. I let this whisper rise. I let it settle in my bones. Father, I used to think that hope had to be loud and full of certainty, that it had to stand tall and shout over the darkness. But maybe hope is also the small decision to try again. The quiet courage to believe that I am not forgotten, that my story is not over, that you are still weaving something beautiful out of threads I do not understand. There is peace in that, a peace I cannot explain. It does not erase the H, but it sits beside it like a steady hand on my shoulder. A reminder that I am held, that I am seen, that I am not walking through this morning alone. Lord, I think of those whose hearts are even more fragile than mine today. Those who have been waiting so long, they forgot what hope feels like. Wrap them in that same whisper. Remind them gently, the way you are reminding me now, that no valley is too deep for your light to reach, that no silence is too loud for your voice to break through. Sometimes I imagine your blessings like soft rain gathering above a land that has been dry for too long, not pouring all at once, but collecting in quiet clouds, waiting for the exact moment to fall. Maybe this is that moment. Maybe today is not the storm I imagined, but the beginning of dew on the ground, moisture returning to the earth, life beginning to stir beneath the surface. I do not need it all to make sense. I just need to know that you are near, that you have not stopped moving, even when I cannot feel it, that you are always in motion toward me, not away from me. And so I lean in. I tilt my heart toward you like a flower stretching toward the light. I do not ask for everything. I ask for enough. Enough to take the next step. Enough to breathe with less fear. Enough to remember that you are still writing the story, even when I cannot see the page. I choose to believe that your hand is on my life. Not because I have done everything right, but because you are kind, because your nature is goodness, because you delight in surprising us with peace in unexpected places. Father, if I am honest, there are still shadows in my thoughts, still questions without answers, still moments where doubt tries to speak louder than truth. But this morning, I am choosing to believe that even doubt cannot drown out your whisper, that even when my heart is unsure, your faithfulness remains steady. Let that whisper become stronger in me today. Let it turn into a hum that moves through my spirit like a quiet song. Let it carry me through this day with gentleness, not pressure. Let it guide me back to grace every time I wander into fear. I am not asking for perfection, God. I am asking for presence. I am not seeking clarity for every step. I am seeking the courage to take one. And maybe, just maybe, that is what hope truly is. Not the absence of pain, but the presence of promise. Not the removal of all trouble, but the reminder that I am not alone in it. This morning, I choose to believe in the slow return of joy, in the quiet rebuilding of peace, in the unseen hand that holds me. Even here, even now, I do not know what the rest of this day holds, but I know you hold me, and that is enough. Let this be the beginning of something deeper, not because the world has changed, but because I am learning to see it differently, through eyes softened by faith, through a heart that is still tender but no longer numb. Let hope continue to rise in me like the sun rising slowly over the edge of the horizon. Gentle, but sure, quiet, but unstoppable. Let it bathe everything in light, even the corners of me that still feel afraid. And if I forget, remind me again. If I grow weary, carry me again. If I start to shut down, breathe into me again. You are the God of beginnings, even in places that feel like endings. So I will keep listening for your whisper. I will keep reaching for you in the stillness. I will let this morning be enough, not because it is perfect, but because you are in it, and that alone makes it holy. Lord, if I am honest, something has begun to shift ever so gently since I first whispered to you in that dry place. I cannot explain it in full, and maybe I do not need to, but there is a sense faint but growing that I am not walking alone. That perhaps, all along, you were closer than I realized. Not with noise, not with spectacle, but with the still, steady presence of mercy that moves quieter than breath, softer than light falling through the leaves. I am starting to notice it, not in the ways I once expected, not in thunder or sudden breakthrough, but in something humbler, in the way the morning light lingers on the windowsill just a bit longer, in the way a stranger's kindness catches me off guard, in the way I feel something in my chest loosen when I stop rushing and simply breathe. It is not grand or loud, but it is unmistakable. Your mercy is following me, and perhaps it has been following me all along. God, how often have I missed it, too distracted, too discouraged, too hardened to notice. I was so focused on chasing peace, chasing answers, chasing approval, that I overlooked the very thing already walking behind me. Now I see what David meant when he said your goodness and mercy would follow him all the days of his life. I used to read those words like poetry. Today, they feel like truth. Your mercy is not distant or delayed. It is not something I must earn with perfection or constant effort. It is near. It is steady. It is faithful even when I am not. When I stray, it does not turn back. When I fall, it does not withdraw. When I am silent, it stays close enough to hear even the quietest cry. And when I am too tired to move forward, it keeps walking until it catches up with me. Lord, I see now that mercy does not shout. It does not force. It waits. It waits for a heart soft enough to notice, for a soul still enough to receive. And now that I am beginning to see it, I cannot help but weep, not because I am afraid, but because I am overwhelmed, because I feel found again, not by might or strength, but by compassion that never gave up. I think back on the moments I wanted to give up, when I thought nothing would change, when I felt forgotten, and I see now that even then, mercy was at my side. I just could not recognize it. I was looking for rescue with flashing lights. But you sent comfort instead. Gentle comfort that wrapped around my grief without demanding it disappear. Grace that did not remove the valley, but walked with me through it. Father, how many times have you shielded me from harm I never even saw? How many times did you delay something I begged for, not to punish me, but to protect me? I may never know the full extent of your mercy, but I see traces of it now like footprints behind me in the sand, reminding me that I was never as alone as I felt. And now I find myself slowing down, not just physically, but spiritually. I am less interested in chasing answers, and more interested in being present with you. My heart is still tender, still healing, but it is learning how to rest again. Not to collapse in exhaustion, but to find quiet in trust. To let go of needing to have it all figured out. To believe even if I do not know what comes next, I can be certain of who walks beside me. Your mercy is not just a concept. It is a person. It is you, walking into every broken space without flinching, entering every forgotten corner without shame. You come not to scold, but to soothe, not to punish, but to restore. And you bring no list of demands, only an invitation to be held, to be known, to be loved without earning it. There are places in me that still struggle to receive this. Parts of my heart that have grown cautious, that wonder if it is safe to trust again. I am learning to let those parts breathe too. To bring them into the light without fear. To allow you to love me even there. Especially there. Because if your mercy only reached the polished and the perfect, I would still be lost. But it reaches into the depths. It moves through the shadows. It climbs over walls I built to keep pain out, and ends up letting healing in. It finds me in silence, in stillness, in sacred pauses like this one. And in these moments, I find myself opening without resistance. God, I do not need you to rush. I only need to know you are here. And you are, not in the way I once demanded, but in the way I now treasure. Constant, kind, quietly pursuing. You do not need to shout to be near. You do not need to perform to be present. You just are. And that is enough. Today, I will walk more slowly. I will breathe more deeply. I will pay attention to what is behind me, not with regret, but with wonder. I will look for evidence of mercy in the ordinary, in the laughter I did not expect, in the moment I feel peace for no reason at all, in the warmth of a memory I thought I lost, and in every small reminder that I am not alone. I may not see all the answers I long for, but I see something better. I see you. I feel you. And I am learning that is more than enough. Your mercy is my anchor. Your kindness, my covering. Your pursuit, my peace. I will not rush ahead of it. I will not fear falling behind. I will simply turn around and be found again. Because the truth is, I was never lost to you. You saw me in the silence. You stayed when I doubted. You whispered when I shut down. And you never stopped moving toward me, even when I stopped moving at all. So here I am, Lord. Not running. Not hiding. Just resting in this sacred place where your mercy meets my need and your love covers my flaws. If this is what it means to be pursued by grace, then I no longer need to chase anything else. Father, the more I pause to reflect, the more I begin to see how you never needed me to run toward you for grace to reach me. Grace was already in motion long before I realized I needed it. I think about all the times I fell short, times I was lost in confusion, heavy in shame, or too weary to lift my eyes. I remember how I believed that I had to be strong, that I had to move first, that the burden of coming back was mine to carry. But now I see that it was never about my ability to run. It was always about your willingness to chase after me. You came looking when I did not even know I had wandered. You pursued my heart gently, patiently, without demanding I clean myself up before being found. And now I feel the weight of that kindness, how you moved through every obstacle, every wall I built, every door I closed in fear, just to remind me that I was still yours. You did not wait for me at a distance, arms crossed, expecting a grand return. You ran. You ran when I could not. You closed the distance I was too ashamed to cross. God, I can barely wrap my mind around that kind of love. A love that does not stand at the finish line waiting for me to prove something. A love that meets me in the middle of my mess, not to condemn me, but to carry me. A love that runs toward brokenness, not away from it. That sees failure and still calls me beloved. That looks beyond mistakes and sees a soul worth restoring. There have been days when I could not pray. Days when the silence inside me felt louder than any prayer I could speak. Days when my faith felt so fragile, I feared it would crumble if I even breathed too hard. On those days, I did not move toward you. I simply existed, waiting for the numbness to lift. And still, you came close. You moved with quiet compassion. Not rushing, not scolding, just near. Just present. Just enough. Lord, I am beginning to understand that grace is not something I achieve. It is something I allow. It does not require performance. Only surrender. It does not depend on how fast I run, how long I endure, or how clearly I understand. It depends on you, on your nature, on your goodness that never grows weary, on your heart that has always leaned toward mercy. I see you now in the stories that once felt far from me. The shepherd who leaves the 99 for the one. The father who runs to meet the prodigal before any apology is spoken. The Savior who walks through locked doors just to show he still bears the scars. These are not tales of judgment. These are revelations of relentless love. Love that steps into the shadows. Love that bends low. Love that finds those who cannot find themselves. Father, there have been so many moments when I believed I had to fix myself first. when I thought I needed to be more faithful, more disciplined, more spiritual before I could come close again. But all I ever needed was to stop running from grace and start allowing it to catch me. Not because I deserve it, not because I finally earned it, but because grace does not consult my worth before extending its hand. I can feel now how you move, not with force, but with invitation, not with pressure, but with presence. You do not barge into the rooms I keep locked. You wait. And then, when I so much as crack the door open, you rush in not to invade, but to embrace. You fill the spaces I thought were too dark to ever be restored, and you remind me that nothing disqualifies me from being loved. Not time. Not distance. Not failure. Not fear. There is something freeing about knowing I do not have to chase what has already been given. I do not have to earn what you have already decided to pour out. I do not have to prove I am worthy of being found. I only need to stop hiding, to stop running from the very grace that has been running toward me all along. That grace has legs, that grace has heart, that grace has never stopped moving in my direction. Even now, I can feel it surrounding me, not in a way that overwhelms, but in a way that holds. It wraps around the fragile parts. It shields the wounds I still carry. It lifts me from places I have gotten stuck, and it whispers that I am not beyond redemption, that I am not too far gone, that even when I could not run, grace was never out of breath. God, I know now that my weakness does not scare you. My silence does not push you away. My lack of words, my struggle to believe, my slow healing, none of these disqualify me from your pursuit. In fact, I think they draw you closer, because you are not chasing my strength. You are chasing my heart, and even when it hides, even when it doubts, even when it falters, you come anyway. I look back now and I can trace the footsteps of grace through my story, in the places where doors shut unexpectedly, in the people who showed up at just the right time, in the peace that came when nothing made sense. I see it in the moments that looked like endings but became new beginnings, in the prayers I thought went unanswered but were really being answered in ways I could not yet understand. So I stop striving. I stop rehearsing all the ways I fall short. I stop believing the lie that you are far away, and I begin to rest in the truth that you are always moving toward me, that when I stumble, you catch me. When I collapse, you carry me. When I hesitate, you meet me where I am. Father, today I will not run, not because I have given up, but because I have been found, because the pursuit is over, because the blessing is already here, because grace did not wait for me to be ready. It ran when I could not, and it is here now, holding me in a love that will not let go. Father, even now, as grace surrounds me and mercy chases me down, I begin to recognize that there are places within me that still resist the flow, not because I want to keep you out, but because there are stones, some I placed there long ago, others I barely noticed piling up, that block what you long to pour in. I feel you drawing near. I sense the movement of blessing reaching toward me, yet sometimes it feels like it can only go so far before it is stopped by something hidden deep inside. I do not want anything to stand in the way, but I must admit that parts of me have grown guarded. Stones of unforgiveness, small but heavy, still sit at the edges of my heart. I have tried to move past them, tried to ignore them, but they have a way of hardening over time. Father, I confess I have carried disappointments like badges. I have nurtured silent offenses, pretending they do not matter, even as they built quiet walls around my trust. I can see now how the hurt I never brought to you has turned into barriers I never meant to build. The things I refuse to feel have become things I cannot ignore. Fear of being wounded again, shame that clings like a second skin, regret that whispers too often when I try to rest. These are the stones that dam the river, keeping your blessings from reaching every corner of my soul. Lord, I do not want to live half full. I do not want to settle for glimpses of joy, fleeting peace, or temporary hope. I want the fullness of what you have prepared for me. I want the living water to flow freely again, not trickle through cracks. And if that means letting you dig deep, removing what I have buried, then I open myself now, not without trembling, but with trust. You are gentle, and I trust you with the excavation. I do not fear your hands. They are steady, kind, and sure. You do not destroy as you dig. You reveal. You restore. You renew. So I lay before you every hardened place, every memory I avoid, every word spoken over me that became a weight instead of a lesson, every lie I believed about myself or about you, every judgment I have held on to, whether against others or against myself. All of it I place at your feet. Remove the stone of bitterness that has quietly shaped how I see others. I know what it feels like to be hurt deeply, but I do not want to carry that pain into every interaction. Teach me how to forgive, not just in word, but in spirit, to release the grip I have kept on old wounds. Not because they were small, but because they are not mine to hold forever. Heal what was broken, and then help me let go. Lift the stone of pride that tells me I must always be strong, always be composed, always be enough. Sometimes I pretend I do not need help, even from you, because asking feels like weakness. But I see now that pretending has left me lonely, vulnerable but armored, seen but never truly known. I lay that down. I let humility rise in its place, not as shame, but as freedom. Take away the stone of fear that blocks the doorway to deeper joy. Fear that something good will not last. Fear that I will lose again. Fear that I am not capable of withstanding what life may bring. You have not called me to live under the weight of dread. You have called me to live as one who trusts in your goodness. Even in the unknown, let courage be born where fear once ruled. Break apart the stone of guilt that keeps me from lifting my head. Guilt over what I did not do, what I should have said, what I wish I could go back and fix. Guilt that whispers I am not worthy of moving forward. You have already forgiven what I still punish myself for. Teach me to receive that forgiveness as fact, not just as theology. Help me believe that I am allowed to heal. And Father, if there are stones I cannot name, ones buried so deep I do not even see them clearly. I ask you to bring them to light, not to shame me, but to set me free. Search me gently. Reveal what I have hidden even from myself. Because if it is in the way of what you desire to do in me, I no longer want it there. No matter how familiar it has become, no matter how long it has lived in my soul, I want to make room. Room for joy that stays. Room for peace that holds steady. Room for love that does not shrink when tested. I want to make space for the blessing you have already begun to release. I do not want to miss it simply because I clung to something you have been trying to remove. So I surrender the weight, not in a dramatic act, but in 1,000 quiet choices. Choosing to forgive when bitterness feels easier. Choosing to speak softly when anger rises. Choosing to trust again when fear insists on walls. Choosing to sit with you when everything in me wants to run from discomfort. These are the ways the stones are removed, not all at once, but one by one, in the presence of your steady love. Lord, I know this will not always feel easy. Healing rarely does. Sometimes I will want to hold on to the familiar pain, because it has become a part of my story. But you are writing something new. Something better. Something holy. And I do not want the old wounds to block the new wonders you are unfolding. Let this morning be the beginning of release, the beginning of softened soil, the beginning of something flowing again unhindered, alive, full of movement and grace. As the weight lifts, I will not fill the space with fear again. I will let it be filled by you. Let it be filled with joy that rises like morning light. Let it be filled with rest that goes deeper than sleep. Let it be filled with trust that has learned how to breathe again. I thank you that you are not in a hurry, that you are not discouraged by how much still needs to be cleared. You see the beauty beneath the rubble. You see the wellspring buried under the debris. And you are committed to finishing what you started. So I yield. I trust the process. I embrace the grace. And I dare to believe that as the stones are removed, blessing will flow not because I forced it, but because I finally made room for it to come rushing in. God, now that the stones have begun to lift, now that the clutter is being cleared, I feel something opening that I have not touched in a long time. Not just the surface of my thoughts or the space where my prayers usually begin, but the deeper part, the hidden gate within me that has stayed closed for too long. The place where I have kept the final pieces, the guarded dreams, the unspoken fears, the quiet questions I did not know how to ask. It surprises me how heavy surrender can feel even when it is what I want. It is not resistance. Not anymore. It is the weight of letting go without knowing what will come in. It is the trust required to open the gate when I cannot see the path beyond it. But if you are asking for surrender, if you are standing just outside with mercy in your hands, then I will turn the key, slowly, shakily, but willingly. Father, I give you what I have clung to because it felt safe, my timelines, my expectations, my understanding of what blessing should look like. I release the picture I painted of how life was supposed to unfold. I lay down my plans, not because they are bad, but because I no longer want them more than I want you. Let my surrender not be an act of defeat, but of devotion. Let it not be driven by fear, but filled with faith. Teach me to lay things down not with reluctance, but with reverence, because when I hold tightly, I block what you long to place in my open hands. When I cling, I limit. When I yield, I receive. It is not easy to loosen my grip. It is not natural to stop trying to control every detail, to stop micromanaging my future, to stop bracing myself for disappointment. But this is not about losing control. It is about giving it back to the one who always had it to begin with. You never forced the gate open. You waited. You knocked with patience. And now, with hands trembling more from wonder than fear, I open it wide. God, come into every space I once sealed off. Fill what I have kept hidden. Dwell where I was afraid to invite you. You are not a distant king waiting to rule from afar. You are the shepherd who walks into the pasture and sits down beside the sheep. You do not rush me. You do not shame me. You simply ask for room, and I give it freely now. If there are parts of me that still resist, touch them gently. If fear rises again, speak peace into it. I am not offering you perfection. I am offering you permission to come as close as you desire, to have not just the surface of my life, but the foundation, not just the public moments, but the private patterns, not just the plans I have made, but the dreams I have shelved in silence. I surrender my need to always understand. So often I have delayed obedience, waiting for clarity. But now I see that clarity is not the prerequisite of trust. Faith begins where certainty ends. So I will step forward, even if I do not see the full path. I will walk with open hands, trusting that you guide not only my steps, but also my pauses. I surrender the outcomes. I surrender the need for results that match my desires. I know you hear me, and I know you answer. But I also know that what you give is better than what I imagine. And what you withhold, you do so with wisdom I may never fully grasp. Still, I trust you. I choose to trust you not because I always understand, but because you have proven that you are good. I surrender my pace. I am done rushing to meet deadlines that were never mine to carry. I let go of the pressure to keep up with others, to prove my worth through productivity. I rest in the truth that your timing is perfect. That delay is not denial. That slow is not stagnant when your spirit is moving. I surrender the fear of vulnerability. Let me not fear being seen fully by you. Let me not flinch when you uncover the fragile places. There is no healing without exposure, and there is no exposure without trust. You see me already, and still you stay. Still you pursue. Still you love without withdrawal. God, let this be the morning my soul opens completely. Let surrender become the melody of my breath, the rhythm of my thoughts, the language of my prayers. Let it be more than a moment. Let it become a posture, a way of living, not just of praying. Let my heart remain open not just when it is easy, but especially when it is costly. And when surrender feels like loss, remind me it is gain. Remind me that the empty hands I lift toward you are the very ones you long to fill. Remind me that what I give up is never wasted, that no sacrifice is unseen, that every yes whispered in surrender is heard and held and honored by heaven. I do not want a faith that only functions in comfort. I want a faith that breathes in surrender, one that is not shaken by storms, because its roots grow deeper with each letting go. I want to trust you not just with the pieces I have already processed, but with the chaos still unresolved. So here it is, Lord, all of me, the hopes and hurts, the visions and the voids, the strengths I am proud of, and the weaknesses I have tried to hide. I open the gate and I leave it open, not as a gesture, but as a decision, because I believe you will not enter with destruction, but with healing, not with judgment, but with joy, not with noise, but with presence. Take the space I have made. Build what you will. Do what only you can do. Rearrange if you must. Restore where needed. I will not interfere. I will not take back what I have placed into your hands. I will not panic when things shift. I will remember that surrender is not the end of my strength, but the beginning of yours. Let my life be the soil where your plans grow freely. Let this surrendered heart become fertile ground for faith to rise, for hope to take root, for peace to make its home. And let the blessing that was waiting outside the gate now walk in unhindered, bringing with it the fullness of what you have always wanted to give. Father, now that the gate is open and my hands are no longer full of the things I once clung to, I find myself quietly asking a question I had not dared to voice before. What if the blessing I have been waiting for is not what I thought I needed? What if you are doing something deeper, something I never even knew to ask for? The more I let go, the more I notice that you are not simply rearranging my outer world. You are restoring something on the inside that I had stopped paying attention to. You know the hidden aches I never had words for, the ones buried beneath all the practical prayers. You know how long I have tried to fill certain voids with answers, breakthroughs, or relief. But now I am beginning to see that you were always aiming for something more than temporary comfort. You were reaching for the part of me that forgot how to feel whole, the part that was not just tired from striving, but disconnected from joy, from hope, from the quiet awe of simply being alive. God, surprises me how unfamiliar it feels to sit in stillness and be met by blessing that does not come wrapped in change or achievement, but in healing, not the loud kind, not the kind everyone sees, but the kind that slowly mends what broke in silence, the kind that does not rush to fix, but stays long enough to understand. You are showing me that there are blessings that come not to answer prayers, but to correct what I thought I needed all along. I thought I needed resolution, but you gave me resilience. I thought I needed escape, but you gave me endurance. I thought I needed the door to open, but you reminded me that sometimes the waiting shapes the soul in ways arrival never could. And perhaps, most surprising of all, you are teaching me to see blessing in what never changed, in the things I used to resent, in the unanswered questions, in the delays that tested my faith, in the losses that seemed unfair. I would not have called them blessings then, but now I see how they softened me, refined me, stripped away what did not belong. They carved out space in me that only you could fill. Father, how kind of you to bless me with what I did not even know to ask for, with deeper peace, with clarity in chaos, with strength that did not come from avoiding pain, but from standing inside it with you. I look back and see that while I was waiting for one kind of miracle, you were performing another, transforming me, teaching me to see, opening my eyes to a different kind of abundance. You blessed me with patience that outlasted the problem, with hope that did not depend on the outcome, with grace that showed up on ordinary mornings, with joy that came not from having everything, but from needing less. And somehow, in the process, I found a new version of myself, less frantic, less desperate, more steady, more surrendered. God, I see now that true blessing is not always a breakthrough. Sometimes it is a shift, a quiet turning, a new way of seeing what I already have. I do not want to overlook these sacred gifts just because they did not arrive the way I imagined. I do not want to miss the quiet beauty tucked inside the days I once rushed through. Let me recognize the blessings that do not shout, the ones that enter through the side door, the ones disguised as small moments, laughter in the middle of heaviness, a conversation that softens something hard, the silence that no longer feels empty, the breath that finally feels deep again. These are holy too. These are gifts that shape the soul more than answers ever could. I begin to realize that perhaps the greatest blessings are not the things that change my circumstances, but the ones that change me, that teach me to be present, that strip away what is false, that point me back to you over and over until I understand that you were always the blessing, not just the giver, but the gift, not just the source, but the satisfaction. So today I stop asking only for what I think I need. I open myself to what you know I need, even if I do not yet understand it, even if it takes time to unfold, even if it stretches me. I trust that what you give will not harm me, even if it humbles me. I trust that you will not waste my surrender, that every space I cleared will be filled not with disappointment, but with something deeper and more lasting than anything I could have imagined. God, thank you for not always answering in the way I expected. Thank you for blessing me with what heals instead of what hurries, with what transforms instead of what merely soothes. Thank you for loving me too much to let me stay shallow, for calling me into the deep, not to drown, but to discover how fully I am held. Help me not to measure blessing by comfort, or by comparison, or by the applause of others. Let me measure it by peace that makes no sense, by joy that returns in the quiet, by the steady knowing that I am becoming whole, not because everything is perfect, but because I am no longer resisting what you are doing within. Let me carry this awareness into today, that blessing might look like a sudden shift, but like a slow unfolding, like something growing in secret, rooted deeply, reaching upward through time. Let me treat the unseen as sacred. Let me walk through the day expecting grace in unexpected places. And if I find myself in moments that feel unfinished, unresolved, uncertain, let me remember that blessing is not always in the outcome. Sometimes it is in the becoming. And maybe that is the very place where you are meeting me now, not to fix me, but to fill me, not to rush me, but to renew me, not to change everything around me, but to change everything within me, one sacred breath at a time. Father, I never expected peace to feel like this, not loud or dramatic, not wrapped in certainty or achievement, but gentle, subtle, almost like sitting down in the middle of a storm and realizing that somehow you have already prepared a place for me to rest. I do not have all the answers, and nothing outside has drastically changed, but inside there is this surprising stillness. It is not the absence of struggle. It is the presence of something stronger than struggle. It is you. And I think of that image from long ago, the one I have read but only now begin to feel in my bones. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Not after the battle is over, not when the threats are gone, but right in the middle of it all. You spread out something sacred where fear still lingers. You lay out peace where chaos tries to dominate. God. That is what it feels like this morning. Like I have stumbled into a quiet place I did not know I was allowed to enter. A place not dependent on perfection or performance. A place where I do not have to be strong to be welcome. You have set the table. And you are not in a hurry. You are not impatient with my questions. You do not mind the fatigue I carry in with me. You simply pull out a seat and say, "Stay." There is no rush here. No need to pretend. I sit, and I begin to see that what you offer is not fragile. It does not disappear just because I am still in the wilderness. In fact, it seems like the wilderness is exactly where you have chosen to meet me. I thought peace could only come when everything settled down. But this peace arrives while things are still unsettled. This table stands not outside the valley, but right in the middle of it. I realize now that I have spent so much of my energy trying to escape discomfort, trying to move past the parts of life that feel messy or unpredictable. But you are showing me that I do not have to escape to be restored. I do not have to outrun pain to find comfort. I do not have to fix every broken piece before I receive wholeness. You are not waiting for me at the finish line. You are here present, steady, seated right beside me in the wilderness. There is something sacred about this kind of presence, about knowing I am seen and known and still invited to draw near, about discovering that peace is not something I have to earn. It is something I am allowed to receive, even when I do not feel worthy of it. Especially then. Especially when I feel undone, unworthy, uncertain. That is when your peace makes the most sense. So I choose to stay at the table. I choose not to run from the wilderness just because it feels uncomfortable. I choose to believe that this space, this in between, this unresolved, this unpolished place is still holy ground, because you are here, because you have chosen to dwell with me, even when everything around me still looks unfinished. Lord, help me stop measuring peace by what is happening outside of me. Help me stop waiting for every fire to be put out before I believe I am safe. Help me recognize that peace is not a product of perfect circumstances. It is a result of your presence, and you are not going anywhere. Let this table remind me that provision is not always loud. That comfort does not always come through answers. Sometimes it comes through silence shared with a God who never leaves. Sometimes it comes through breath that slows, through tears that finally fall without fear, through the kind of quiet that does not mean absence, but fullness. I do not need you to change everything right now. I just need to know you are not going anywhere. That I can come to this table again tomorrow, and the next day, and the one after that, and you will still be here. Still faithful. Still enough. Still preparing nourishment for my soul in places that do not make sense to anyone else. Even as shadows move around me, I choose to feast on what you have set before me: peace that passes understanding, grace that fills the cracks, hope that rises like light. This is not denial, it is trust. It is a decision to believe that what you provide is enough, even when what I see is lacking. It is a choice to stop striving and start receiving. God, help me savor what you have placed in front of me. Help me stop scanning the horizon for rescue and start recognizing that rescue has already arrived in the form of your presence, in the quiet strength you offer, in the calm you bring to my weary heart. If this wilderness lasts longer than I expected, let it still be a place of intimacy with you. Let it become the setting where I learn to recognize your voice more clearly, where I learn that miracles do not always come with fanfare. Sometimes they look like endurance, like courage, like sitting still when everything in me wants to run. I let this moment teach me. I let it shape me. I stop trying to skip ahead. I stop begging for the next season to arrive. I receive the one I am in, not because it is easy, but because you are here in it. Because the blessing is not just on the other side of the struggle. The blessing is in this sacred middle ground, where your presence becomes enough. Thank you for preparing this place for me, for thinking of what I would need before I even asked, for setting a table not when the enemies are gone, but while they still surround. Because this is where I learn what true security feels like, not found in safety from all danger, but in nearness to you no matter what. And so I stay, I sit, I breathe, I take in what you have placed before me, and I let it be enough for today, not because the wilderness has ended, but because you are here with me in it, because peace has nothing to prove, because presence has the final word, and because I am finally learning to rest at the table you have had waiting for me all along. Lord, now that I have learned to sit at the table you prepared for me, I begin to notice something I once overlooked. In the quiet after the striving has stopped, after the noise of my worries begins to fade, there is a voice. Not loud, not demanding, but steady, familiar, and deeply personal. It does not compete for attention. It waits. It whispers. It invites. I used to believe you only spoke through thunder, through breakthroughs, through open doors or miraculous moments. But here, in the stillness I used to run from, I begin to hear what I could not hear before. You have been speaking all along. I was just too surrounded by my own noise to notice. God, how gently you speak when the world around me shouts. Quietly you draw near when I finally slow down. There is no force in your voice. No pressure. Only the deep and unmistakable sense that I am being seen, known, and led, not like a soldier being given orders, but like a child being drawn close. You are not asking me to perform. You are inviting me to listen. And the more I listen, the more I begin to discern the difference between the voices that bring fear and the voice that brings peace. Yours is the one that does not accuse. It does not rush. It does not shame. It gently corrects. Quietly assures. Patiently guides. Father, confess that I have filled my days with so many things, good things, urgent things, but not always the essential thing. I have filled the silence with distractions, afraid of what I might hear if I allowed myself to be still. But now I see that stillness is not the absence of movement. It is the space where sacred things are born. It is the soil where trust begins to grow again. I want to become someone who listens for your voice, not just in emergencies. Not only when I am desperate, but as part of how I breathe. I do not want to depend on noise to feel alive. I want to be anchored in the quiet truth of who you are, and who I am to you. Let your whisper become my compass. Let it steady me when everything else tries to sway me. Teach me to recognize the difference between the noise of pressure and the presence of peace. Let your voice be the one that breaks through doubt, not with volume, but with certainty. Let it be the one that stills my mind, quiets my fears, and leads my heart into rest. Even when the world around me feels anything but restful. You do not speak just to be heard. You speak to bring life. And that life enters like light through the cracks, soft at first, but undeniable. With every quiet moment, with every space I give you, I feel more connected to something eternal. Something stronger than circumstance, something deeper than explanation. God, I need your voice to guide me, not just in the big decisions, but in the small ones that shape who I am becoming. Speak into the conversations I am about to have. Speak into the moments that feel routine. Speak into the things I am tempted to overlook. Let me be sensitive to your spirit, not only when I am on my knees, but when I am walking, working, waiting. Let the stillness become familiar, not foreign. Let it be a refuge I return to, not a discomfort I try to avoid. Let it become the place where I remember who I am and whose I am. Because in your voice, I find clarity. I find grace. I find a reason to keep moving forward even when the way is unclear. Father, I will not rush past this. I will not treat stillness as a detour, but as a destination. I will not treat quiet as empty, but as full of your presence. Let every breath become a reminder that you are not far. You are not silent. You are not indifferent. You are near, and you are speaking. When I feel overwhelmed by all the opinions and expectations that surround me, let me return to your voice. When fear rises and tells me to panic, let your whisper anchor me in truth. When shame tries to resurface and remind me of where I have been, let your voice remind me of who I am becoming. You do not speak to impress. You speak to transform. You do not rush to fill the silence. You wait until I am still enough to receive what is real. Let that be the rhythm of my soul. Less reaction. More reflection. Less fear. More focus. Less proving. More abiding. God, help me create space in my day for this. Not just space in my schedule, but space in my heart. Push back the clutter, quiet the noise. Teach me the holy discipline of listening. Teach me to lean into the stillness until it no longer feels unfamiliar, but like home. If I forget how to hear you, remind me that you are patient. If I drift, remind me that your voice does not change. You are not frustrated when I need to be reminded. You are not angry when I miss it. You just keep speaking. You just keep reaching. You just keep waiting for the moment when I tune my ear to the frequency of grace again. Let this be that moment. Let this day begin with quiet recognition, not frantic reaction. Let me hear what you are saying, not just to direct me, but to shape me, to remind me that I was not made for chaos. I was made for communion, for connection, for this sacred stillness that makes room for something eternal to take root. And if the noise returns, as it often does, help me return too. Help me find my way back here to this still place where your voice becomes clearer than the rest. Help me not wait until I am broken to listen. Let me come while I am whole, while I am hopeful, while I am hungry for more than what the world can offer. Your voice is not one among many. It is the one that matters most. It is the one that calms the storm inside. The one that brings light to confusion, softness to hardness, peace to striving. Let me walk through today with ears tuned to you. Let me hear what others might miss. Let me carry the sound of your stillness with me into every room, every conversation, every decision. This is not about being perfect. It is about being present. And right now, in this breath, I am here. I am listening. And I believe that you are still speaking. Father, now that I have learned to hear your voice in stillness, I am beginning to recognize it even in the places I never thought it would speak. Not just in quiet mornings or peaceful spaces, but in the middle of tension, in the middle of things I once tried to pray away. I used to believe blessing always came wrapped in comfort, in clarity, in things falling into place. But you are showing me that sometimes blessing arrives in a way that looks like a struggle, a test, a wrestling match I did not expect. There are days when the path forward feels like resistance, when obedience costs more than I imagined, when I feel caught between what I used to be and what I am still becoming. And in those moments, my first instinct is to question, where are you, God? Why does it feel so hard? Why does this journey include so much tension when I thought I had surrendered everything already? But now I see what I could not before. The battle is not always a sign that I have done something wrong. Sometimes it is the very place where transformation begins. Sometimes the pressure is not punishment, but preparation. Sometimes the struggle is not a detour away from blessing, it is the doorway into it. You are not absent in the fight. You are near in the questions, near in the heaviness, near in the moments when I feel stretched beyond what I think I can handle. You are not the voice of shame telling me I should be stronger. You are the presence beside me, reminding me that you are not afraid of my weakness. Lord, help me remember that some of the greatest breakthroughs do not happen in moments of ease, but in moments of wrestling, that even Jacob, who walked with you, still had to wrestle through the night to come out transformed. He did not get the blessing by running away. He got it by holding on, by refusing to let go in the dark. Give me that kind of perseverance, the kind that does not give up just because the blessing did not come easily. The kind that clings to you even when I do not understand what you are doing. The kind that says, I want to let go until you bless me, not because I doubt your goodness, but because I trusted enough to stay through the struggle. Help me see the battles in my life with different eyes, not as evidence that I am failing, but as signs that something sacred is being born. Growth does not happen without resistance. Strength does not form without weight. And deep roots do not grow without being pushed into something solid. If you are allowing this tension, then you must be doing something through it. Something I can see yet, but something I will one day thank you for. Father, when the battle feels personal, when it stirs up my deepest fears, touches old wounds, exposes hidden doubts, remind me that you are not surprised. You are not shaken. You are still in control. And you are still working all things together, even when I do not yet understand how. Let me not be ashamed of the struggle. Let me not hide it or pretend I am always composed. Let me be honest in your presence. Let me bring the questions. Let me bring the exhaustion. Let me bring the moments when I want to quit, because you are the God who meets me there, not to scold, but to strengthen, not to fix me in a moment, but to walk with me through the refining. Sometimes the battle is what reveals the blessing. Sometimes the fight is what strips away the fear. Sometimes the struggle is where I finally realize that I am not alone, and that being carried by you is not a failure, but a gift. God, remind me that not every obstacle is an enemy. Some are invitations. Invitations to trust you more, to dig deeper, to lean not on what I can control, but on who you are. When I feel like I am losing ground, remind me that you are teaching me how to stand. When I feel like I have come to the end of myself, remind me that is where your strength begins. Let this battle build something in me that peace alone never could. Let it carve out endurance. Let it deepen compassion. Let it anchor my faith in something stronger than emotion. Let it birth wisdom I did not have before. And even when it hurts, even when it stretches me, let me believe that you are not wasting a single moment of it. If you have allowed this season, then you will use it. And if you are using it, then I can walk through it without fear, because I know the same hands that hold the blessing also hold the breaking. And you do not drop what you carry. You do not forget what you have started. You do not lose track of the ones you love. So I choose to see this fight not as something to avoid, but as something you are using. I choose to see this pressure as sacred. I choose to see this tension as the space where you are stretching me to make room for more. More faith. More resilience, more of you. And when the night feels long, when I feel worn down and unsure, I will remember Jacob. I will remember how he limped away from the wrestle, marked by the encounter, but no longer who he used to be. I will remember that even if the battle changes how I walk, it does not mean I have lost. It means I have encountered something real. Something holy. Something that will stay with me long after the struggle is over. Lord, keep me close through it all. Teach me how to remain, not because I am fearless, but because you are faithful. Not because the way is easy, because the one leading me is good. Let this be the moment where I stop resisting what you are doing through the fight, and start embracing what you are forming in me. I may not fully understand it yet, but I know you. I know your heart, and that is enough to keep me holding on until the dawn breaks, and the blessing reveals itself for what it truly is, not the end of the battle, but the fruit of having met you in the midst of it. Father, after walking through the wrestle, after learning to hold on even when it hurt, I now find myself facing a quieter kind of challenge, the subtle, persistent urge to keep proving, to keep pushing, to keep performing as if your love still needs to be earned. I know better in my mind. I have seen the evidence of your grace, but deep within, there is still a rhythm I have carried for so long, a rhythm of striving, of needing to do more, be more, achieve more, just to feel like I am enough. I bring that to you now, not to hide it or explain it away, but to surrender it completely, because I do not want to keep living in a cycle that you already died to break. I do not want to keep hustling for what you freely give. I do not want to keep measuring my worth by my output, or my closeness to you by how much I accomplish. You are not impressed by my business. You are moved by my heart. God, help me slow down. Help me unlearn the lie that my identity is tied to how much I produce. Help me detach my value from the pace of the world around me. I was not created to live breathless and burned out. I was created to live connected to you, to stillness, to what truly matters. And I cannot stay connected if I am constantly running, constantly reaching, constantly trying to earn what you have already said is mine. I confess that I have been caught in the cycle, the invisible weight of expectation, the constant pressure to be everything to everyone, the subtle belief that rest is laziness, that stillness is weakness, that enough is never truly enough. But it is exhausting, and I know you did not design my soul to run on pressure and comparison. You designed it for peace. Lord, teach me to live from rest, not for it. Let rest not be a reward I give myself after I have proven my worth, but the starting place where I remember who I am. Let me wake up each day rooted in your acceptance, not scrambling for approval. Let my soul breathe again deep, slow, unafraid, because I am not earning love today. I am walking in it. Break the patterns that keep me tangled, the constant overthinking, the internal checklist, the fear of letting someone down, the belief that if I stop, everything will fall apart. You are holding the world together. I do not need to hold more than what you have placed in my hands. I do not need to take on burdens you never asked me to carry. God, help me recognize the signs when striving starts to take over again, when joy fades and anxiety creeps in, when I start feeling resentful instead of grateful, when I begin comparing instead of celebrating. Let those moments be my reminder to return to step back into grace, into trust, into the truth that I am not defined by what I do, but by whose I am. You never asked me to be perfect. You never called me to be constantly busy. You called me to abide, to remain, to be still and know. That is where the fruit grows, not in frantic motion, but in faithful presence, not in endless effort, but in quiet obedience. Let that be my rhythm. Let that be my goal, not achievement, but alignment. When the world tells me to do more, be more, run faster, rise higher, let me hear your voice above it all, saying, "Come to me, all who are weary, and I will give you rest." You never meant for my spiritual life to feel like a race I am always losing. You meant it to be a relationship that sustains, strengthens, and restores. Help me return to that, Lord. Let my days be marked not by pressure, but by peace. Let my schedule reflect what I truly value. Let me not fill every moment just to avoid the discomfort of slowing down. Let me choose quiet on purpose. Let me create space to hear, to heal, to simply be with you without needing to perform. You are not disappointed in my pace. You are not frustrated with my need to relearn these truths. You are patient, always inviting, always drawing me back not with guilt, but with gentleness. You are not the taskmaster I sometimes imagine. You are the shepherd who leads me beside still waters, who restores my soul, who knows how to care for me better than I know how to care for myself. Father, when I am tempted to prove my worth, remind me that you already proved your love. When I am tempted to earn your favor, remind me that it was never for sale. When I feel the old weight creeping in, the inner pressure to be more, do more, fix more, remind me that grace says stop striving and start abiding. Let my worth be rooted in what is unshackable, not my success, not the praise of others, not how much I get done today, but in your unchanging love, in your complete forgiveness, in your unwavering presence. That is the foundation I want to build my life on. That is the truth I want to return to when everything else starts to spin. God, show me how to live lightly, even when life feels heavy. Show me how to work from rest, not rest from work. Show me how to move with purpose, not pressure. Let my days carry the fragrance of grace, soft, steady, unforced. Let people see in me a peace that cannot be explained by accomplishment. Let them see a quiet confidence that comes not from striving harder, but from trusting deeper. This is not about doing nothing. It is about doing everything from a place of being loved, not trying to be loved. It is about remembering that I am not behind. I am not late. I am exactly where I need to be because I am with you. And wherever you are is enough. So today, I choose a different rhythm, one not driven by fear or performance, one shaped by grace. I choose to breathe, to trust, to believe that blessing flows not from striving, but from surrender, not from hustle, but from heart. And in that space, I am finally free, not because I have done enough, but because I believe you are enough for me, in me, and through me. Father, now that the rhythm of striving has begun to fall away, and I am learning to live from rest instead of chasing it, I start to feel something unfamiliar and humbling rise quietly in its place. Favor, not the kind that demands to be seen or comes with applause, not the kind I once believed was reserved for the flawless. This is something different, something steady, something holy. I almost did not recognize it at first, because it did not arrive the way I expected. It did not come through doors I forced open. It came through the ones I waited at patiently. It came after the surrender, not before. It came not because I worked harder, but because I let go. And now, as I pause to reflect, I can feel its weight, not heavy, but grounding. Favor has found me, and I did not have to run it down. God, you have a way of sending favor like a breeze, soft, quiet, yet undeniably present. It comes not as a reward, but as a reminder that you see me, that you know where I am, that you have not overlooked the unseen places in my life. It shows up in the timing I could not control, in the opportunities I could not orchestrate, in the peace I could not produce on my own. I do not say this with pride. I say it with wonder, because deep down I know I did not earn it. I know I did not check enough boxes or meet some invisible standard. You did not bless me because of my perfection. You poured out favor because of your promise. And that changes everything. Lord, help me carry favor with humility. Let it never become a crown I wear to elevate myself, but a banner I raise to point back to you. Let me recognize that favor is not about status. It is about stewardship. It is not something I hoard. It is something I pour out. You bless me not just to lift me up, but to equip me to lift others. I remember now the ones in Scripture who were chosen, even when no one else noticed them. David, still in the field. Ruth, gathering leftovers. Mary, young and overlooked. None of them fit the mold. None of them campaigned for recognition. They were simply available. And when favor found them, they said yes. Father, I want to live like that, not chasing stages or striving for validation, but showing up fully where you have placed me, faithful in the small, steady in the quiet, open to the ways you move, because I know now that favor does not wait for a spotlight. It often meets us in the hidden places, where our hearts are most real. Let me never confuse favor with fame. Let me never believe it always looks like ease. Sometimes favor places us in rooms we do not feel qualified to enter. Sometimes it places a weight in our hands that only grace can help us carry. Sometimes it sets us apart, not to elevate us above others, but to prepare us for service. You do not give favor so I can be celebrated. You give favor so I can be useful in your hands. And when I remember that, I no longer fear it or shrink from it. I embrace it with reverence, a knowing that what you have entrusted to me, you will also sustain in me, God, let me wear favor like a mantle, not a mask. Let it shape my character before it ever changes my circumstances. Let it deepen my dependence before it broadens my reach. I do not want to outrun what you have assigned. I want to walk with it, in pace with your spirit, in step with your purpose. Even now, I can feel favor making room for things I did not plan. Conversations that open doors, kindness that comes out of nowhere, opportunities that carry your fingerprints. And instead of questioning why, I choose to say thank you. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for choosing me not because I am more worthy, but because you are endlessly kind. If I am to carry this favor, then let it be a reflection of your heart. Let it flow through my decisions, my words, my posture toward others. Let it soften the way I lead, slow the way I speak, steady the way I serve. Let it remind me daily that everything I have is a gift, undeserved, unearned, but freely given. Let me never assume that favor means I will never face resistance. Let me remember that even those you called most deeply were not exempt from challenge. But through it all, they carried something that could not be shaken. They carried favor that no man could revoke. They walked with confidence, not in their strength, but in your faithfulness. So today, I walk in that same confidence, quiet, sure, not loud, but rooted. I do not need to announce it. I do not need to prove it. I just need to carry it with grace. I just need to keep saying yes to you, yes, when it is easy. Yes, when it is uncomfortable. Yes, when I do not see the full picture yet. Father, thank you for favor that finds me even when I stop searching. Thank you for knowing how to send what I did not know I needed. Thank you for trusting me with what only you can sustain. I receive it not as a trophy, but as a tool, not as a prize, but as a purpose. Let the favor you have placed on my life bring light to others. Let it draw people not to me, but to you. Let it serve, not separate, heal, not highlight, build bridges, not walls. Let it go wherever you send it, doing whatever you will through it. This is not a moment I want to waste. This is not a gift I want to carry carelessly. So I ask you to keep my heart grounded, keep my eyes fixed, keep my hands open. If your favor is on me, then so is your calling, so is your compassion, so is your power to do more than I can imagine through a life fully surrendered. And that is what I offer you again today, not perfection, but permission to lead, to shape, to use every bit of favor not for my own gain, but for your glory, to be a vessel that reflects what it never could have produced on its own, a life marked by your hand, a heart made ready by grace, a soul that knows the blessing of simply being chosen and never needing to chase what you have already sent. Father, as I continue walking in the quiet weight of your favor, something unexpected is beginning to happen. My eyes are changing, the way I see my life, the familiar, the unnoticed. The small things I once dismissed is shifting. Where I used to see routine, I now see the edges of the sacred. Where I once longed for the extraordinary, I now find myself standing still, amazed at how you are filling the ordinary with beauty I had forgotten to notice. You have taught me to stop chasing and start receiving. But now, you are teaching me something deeper still, how to recognize the overflow already moving through my daily life. It is not arriving in bursts of spectacle or grand displays. It is flowing quietly through places I never thought to look: my simple responsibilities, my quiet relationships, the work of my hands that no one applauds. God, help me not miss the miracle in the mundane. Help me not overlook the blessings wrapped in the everyday. I used to think overflow would come in the form of more influence, more abundance, more breakthrough. But now I see it as something fuller, not more in quantity, but more in meaning, more awareness, more gratitude, more presence. You are in the dishes I wash for my family. You are in the conversations I did not expect to matter, but somehow linger in memory. You are in the moments I pause to breathe instead of rush. You are in the act of showing up, again and again, even when no one is watching. And all of it counts. All of it holds weight, because your presence does not wait for perfect conditions. It fills whatever is offered with a willing heart. Lord, let me offer my ordinary to you without shame. Let me give what I have, knowing you are the one who multiplies. The small lunch offered by a boy fed thousands. The jar of oil in a widow's home filled room after room. The fisherman's empty nets became breaking vessels of abundance. Every time someone gave you something simple, you did something supernatural. I want to live that way, not striving to manufacture the extraordinary, but faithfully offering the ordinary. My time, my attention, my willingness, my hands open, not to demand but to give. Not because I have everything figured out, because I trust that what is placed in your hands never stays the same. It always grows. It always pours back more than it cost. And when I feel unseen, when I wonder if any of it matters, remind me again that you are the God who saw the servant girl, who honored the faithful steward, who smiled at the widow's mite. You are not just looking for big things. You are looking for true hearts. And you delight in what is done quietly, in love. So let my ordinary become the altar. Let my daily life be the place of overflow, not the kind that draws crowds, but the kind that changes atmospheres, that brings warmth into cold places, that brings light into shadowed homes, that brings peace into rooms filled with noise and strain. This is the kind of overflow that does not need a platform. It only needs a vessel. Father, make me that vessel. Fill me with your Spirit, not for moments of performance, but for daily faithfulness. Let kindness flow out of me even when I am tired. Let grace move through my words even when I feel small. Let encouragement spring up in me for others, especially when I do not think they notice what they are carrying. Let me be someone who lives out blessing, not just receives it, someone who multiplies joy in the places others overlook. Let my table always have room for one more. Let my heart always be open to the next small assignment you place before me, even if it looks nothing like what I imagined favor would lead to. Because this, too, is holy, this simple life, these quiet tasks, these repeated rhythms. They are not meaningless, they are seeds. And you, Lord, are the God who breathes life into seeds, who waters what the world forgets, who brings harvest in places no one expected to bloom. Let my life speak without shouting. Let it shine without seeking attention. Let it pour without fear of running out. Because the source is not me. The source is you. And you never lack. You never grow weary. You never stop flowing. The more I give what you have given me, the more I realize I was never meant to hold it. All I was meant to let it pass through, to become a river, not a reservoir. Even now, I feel the shift, from scarcity to abundance, from worry to wonder, from performance to purpose. I do not need my name in lights. I need my name written in your heart. I need to know that my life, just as it is, right where I am, is pleasing to you. And if it is, that is enough, God. Keep me rooted in this truth. When I am tempted to measure myself by milestones, redirect me to moments. When I look for evidence of growth, remind me that some things grow underground. When I get restless for the next big thing, show me the sacred right here in front of me. Let my ordinary days be marked by extraordinary awareness. Let my simple choices carry eternal weight. Let my every yes, my quiet obedience, my hidden generosity be woven into the story you are writing through me. And when I feel tired, when the work feels endless, when I wonder if it is making a difference, whisper to me again that you see it all, that not one act of love goes unnoticed, not one seed goes unwatered, not one moment offered to you will return empty. So I rise into today not seeking grandness, but goodness, not striving for success, but showing up with faith. I receive the blessing of this ordinary life, and I offer it back to you, and I trust deeply, fully, quietly that you will make it overflow in ways I may never see, but that heaven will never forget. Lord, in the stillness of this morning, I come to you again, not with answers, not with resolutions, but with a heart that is learning to be still in the waiting, the kind of waiting that stretches time and tests every ounce of trust I have left. And yet, even here, especially here, I bring my soul before you because I need you to meet in this space between what I pray for and what I see. The waiting has taught me that faith is not just believing you will act, but learning to rest even when you are silent. God, I know you are not distant. I know you are not deaf to the longings that echo through my days. But I confess, it is hard to walk forward when nothing around me seems to move. It is hard to smile when my hope feels thin. It is hard to keep speaking life when all I hear are the voices of delay and disappointment. Yet somewhere in the quiet, you whisper that the delay is not a denial, that what feels like silence may be the sacred work of preparation. Father, help me to believe that while I wait, you are working, not just on what I am hoping for, but on who I am becoming. Teach me to see this season not as punishment or neglect, but as a pause with purpose. Help me lean into the refining, not resist it. Help me to stop measuring time by how long it takes you to answer, and instead start measuring trust by how deep I am willing to go while I wait. Sometimes I wonder if the wait is the answer itself. If what you are shaping in me now will one day matter more than what I thought I needed. If you are more concerned with the depth of my dependence than the speed of my deliverance, God, show me how to rest in you. Even when the landscape of my life looks barren, remind me that seeds grow in silence, that some of the most beautiful things emerge slowly beneath the surface, before they ever break into view. Let my soul not be ruled by clocks or calendars. Let it instead rise and fall with the rhythm of your faithfulness. You are not late. You are never early. You are always perfectly on time. And if you are still asking me to wait, then there must still be something holy to receive right here. Father, show me how to stay awake to the lessons, not numb myself with distractions. Show me how to sit in the tension with open hands, not clenched fists. Lord, the world teaches me to hustle, to grasp, to fight for what I think I need, but you invite me into surrender. You call me to stillness. You do not rush like we do. You walk with patient steps, and so I will try to match your pace. Even when every part of me wants to run ahead, I will try to believe that even in the H of unanswered questions, you are doing something good. I lay down my timelines, my expectations, my silent ultimatums. I lay down the idea that I must always be moving forward to value. I lay down the fear that if I do not act, I will miss out, because nothing that is truly meant for me can be taken from me, and nothing you have promised will pass me by. If you have spoken it, it will come. If you have ordained it, it will stand. If you have begun it, you will finish it. So while I wait, let me worship. While I wonder, let me rest. While I walk through each hour without clear answers, let me remember who you are, not just what you can do. Let me gaze on your character more than I chase after your gifts. Let me find joy not only in the day that finally arrives, but in the quiet days that precede it. Let me trust that you are not only the God of the outcome, but also the God of the middle. Teach me to breathe deep in the unknown, to pray not just for breakthroughs, but for steadfastness, to believe not only for open doors, but for the wisdom to know which ones should remain closed. And when I begin to doubt, when the enemy whispers that I have been forgotten, remind me of every story in Scripture that unfolded slowly. Remind me of Abraham waiting for a son, of Joseph waiting in prison, of David waiting to be king, of Mary waiting in silence, carrying a promise no one else could see. Remind me that delay never meant defeat, that you are faithful through every page of the story, that you never waste a single moment, even the long ones, even the hard ones, even the ones that stretch across seasons. So here I am, Lord, with nothing to prove and everything to receive. Make my waiting sacred. Make my stillness strong. Let the space between now and next be filled with worship, with faith, with a quiet confidence that my story is unfolding exactly as it should. And even if I do not see the next step, I trust the hand that is writing it. You have never failed me, and you want to start now. God, as I sit in this quiet place with you, I realize how much of my life I have spent trying to hold things together with my own strength. From the moment I wake to the moment I sleep, there is a part of me that wants control, a part that thinks if I plan well enough, protect hard enough, or push long enough, I can keep everything safe. But the more I try to grasp, the more I find things slipping through my fingers. It is in this exhaustion that I finally admit I was never meant to carry all of it alone. Lord, you have never asked me to be perfect, only present. You do not demand that I have all the answers, only that I come. So here I am again, releasing what I was never created to hold. I surrender the burdens that have shaped my posture and bent my back beneath their weight. I lay down my need to understand why things have unfolded the way they have. I release the illusion that I can predict the future if I just prepare enough. What I am slowly discovering is that surrender is not weakness. It is not giving up. It is giving over. It is unclenching my fists and letting you take what I was never supposed to control. It is the courage to say, I trust you more than I trust myself. It is the bravery to say, even if it does not go my way, I know you are still good. And so, God, I surrender my fears, the ones that hide beneath the surface and the ones that scream in the dark. I surrender my timelines, my longings, my silent negotiations. I surrender the part of me that feels like I must earn love, prove worth, or chase validation. Let every part of me that is striving find rest. Let every anxious thought be replaced with the assurance that you are already ahead of me. This surrender is not a one-time act, but a daily return. 1,000 tiny choices to let go and let you lead. A quiet whisper each morning, I choose trust again today. And in those moments, something shifts. The weight does not vanish, but I am no longer crushed by it. I am held. I am carried. I am reminded that your strength is made perfect not in my power, but in my weakness. Father, take the wheel that I have gripped so tightly. Take the dreams I have guarded so closely. Take the outcomes I have feared, and the prayers I have buried beneath disappointment. You see it all. You know it all. And still, you love me enough to invite me into something freer. Something lighter. Teach me how to live open-handed, how to hold blessings without clinging, how to walk forward without fear of what might be lost, how to love without demanding guarantees. This is the kind of life you modeled, a life poured out, not protected, a life of surrender that led to resurrection. So in this moment, I say yes again. Yes to your plan. Yes to your pace. Yes to the mystery that unfolds beyond my control. And in saying yes, I find peace, not because everything is solved, but because I am no longer fighting you. I am flowing with you, trusting that whatever lies ahead, you are already there, and it is well. Father, in the stillness after the turmoil, I come before you with a heart learning how to be quiet. The chaos does not always disappear, but there is something shifting within me. It is not that the winds have calmed or the waves have ceased, but that I am beginning to feel you standing with me in the middle of it all. I no longer pled for the storm to end. I now ask to see you in it, because it is there, in the thunder and trembling, that I hear the most powerful echoes of your presence. Lord, teach me to rest even while the earth quakes. Help me not to anchor my peace in the absence of trouble, but in the certainty of your nearness. There are moments, God, when fear still rises like a wave towering over me, threatening to consume everything I have come to believe. But then I remember how you calmed the storm with just a word. I remember how you walked upon the waters when the night was darkest. And so I whisper, not with loud declarations, but with the quiet breath of a soul surrendering. I believe you are here. I may not see the end of this trial yet, but I am learning to see you in it. Every raindrop that falls is a reminder that you are sovereign. Even in the downpour, each thunderclap becomes a rhythm that aligns with the beat of faith returning to my chest. You are not just the God who brings peace. You are peace. You do not only lead me to still waters, you become the stillness when everything around me collapses. And so, even as the storm howls, even as my boat creaks under the weight of uncertainty, I will sit with you. I will breathe with you. I will wait with you. For in your presence, the storm may remain, but it no longer has the power to drown me. The waves may rise, but they cannot crush what you have resurrected within me. Lord, let me remember that faith does not mean the absence of fear, but the courage to keep walking through the rain. Let me wake each morning, not demanding the skies to clear, but instead welcoming the day with open hands, ready to hold whatever comes, knowing I do not hold it alone. You are not the God who stands at the shoreline watching from afar. You are the one who steps into the waters with me, who places your hand upon my heart and tells it to be still. Your peace is not a promise that nothing will go wrong. It is the assurance that no matter what happens, I am not abandoned. When my thoughts rush like a torrent, when anxiety builds like rising floodwaters, draw me back to you. Pull me from the depths, not always by removing the water, but by reminding me that I can breathe in the Spirit even below the surface. Father, help me remember how Jesus slept in the boat while the storm raged. Let me not misread that sleep as indifference, but instead, as perfect confidence in you. Let that same peace settle over my life, a peace that confounds reason, that silences the scream of circumstances with the whisper of your faithfulness. Teach me to sing even in the dark. Let my worship become louder than my worry. Let praise rise like incense, even when the sky is covered with clouds, because I have seen what happens when I focus on the storm, and I have also tasted the transformation that comes when I fix my eyes on you. The same sea that threatens to drown me can become the place where miracles rise, if only I dare to trust. And even if the storm does not end today, let it be said of me that I found peace not because of the calm, but because I chose to believe you were near. Lord, I bring to you the broken sails of my confidence, the fractured mast of my understanding, the waterlogged hopes I once thought would carry me. I bring it all, drenched and worn, and place it at your feet. And instead of demanding that you rebuild my boat, I ask you to teach me to walk on the water with you. I ask for a new kind of strength, not one that resists the storm, but one that rests in the midst of it. You never promised me ease, but you promised me yourself, and that is enough. Let the winds blow, let the skies shake, but let my heart remain tethered to the truth that you are in control. Remind me that you are not surprised by any of this. You do not react. You already reign. And when I forget, when panic tries to rewrite the truths I have come to know, draw me close again. Whisper your promises into my spirit until they become louder than my fears. Wrap me in the shelter of your arms. Even when everything external offers no comfort, you are my refuge, my strong tower, my hiding place when the world grows too loud. Father, I will no longer wait for the storm to pass to begin living again. I will not pause my joy until the skies are clear. Instead, I will gather it here, even in the gray, even in the downpour, because peace is not found in what is happening around me, but in the one who is unchanging within me. So here I stand, rain on my face, wind in my lungs, and faith rising like a fire that no storm can quench. I will walk forward, not because the path is safe, but because you walk it with me. I will breathe deep, not because the air is still, but because your breath sustains me. You are the calm that teaches my chaos how to kneel. You are the voice that commands the storm, and you are also the whisper that steadies my soul. Even here, especially here, I find you, and that is more than enough. Father, following the calm I have found in the heart of the storm, my soul leans into you once more, as I wake with a fragile heart yet steady breath. I acknowledge the gentle presence that carried me through the night. Each thought, though tangled, is slowly being unraveled by your tender patience. My steps may falter, but your hand remains extended, unwavering and kind. There is something sacred about waking with the remnants of yesterday still clinging to the edges of my heart, and yet sensing the whisper of new mercy sweeping in like a quiet tide. You do not demand that I rise perfected, only that I rise willing. And in that willingness, you meet me. You clothe my doubt with hope and my hesitation with courage. You do not shout commands from a distance, but draw near with understanding, inviting me to step forward even when I tremble. God, I confess that I often seek reassurance before obedience, but your presence gently redefines the journey. You do not promise the absence of hardship, only that I will never face it alone. In this moment, I choose to believe you more than I believe my fears. I allow your promises to echo louder than the clamor of uncertainty. Your peace is not the absence of noise, but the anchoring of my soul in something eternal. It is not circumstantial, it is covenant. There is strength found in surrender, not the giving up of will, but the giving over of burden. In trusting you, I do not lose myself. I find the truest version of who I was created to be. There is no need to perform or strive in your presence. You have called me beloved before I ever earned a thing. You have declared me yours, and in that name, I find shelter. Your words are not merely declarations. They are lifelines. When the path ahead feels hidden by fog or blocked by thorns, remind me that you are not only the destination, but the companion. You walk with me, not beyond me. You speak peace over the journey before I even take the first step. In silence, you are present. In movement, you are guiding. confusion. You are still wisdom. In every ordinary moment, you are holy and wholly near. I look around and see how easily the world defines success, strength, and stability, but you call me to a deeper truth, a kingdom where the meek inherit, where the broken are blessed, and where faith the size of a mustard seed can move mountains. This morning, I do not ask for a mountain to be moved unless you are the one moving it. I only ask to walk beside you, wherever you lead. And if the path is uphill, I will trust that you will be my breath. If the road is narrow, I will trust that your footsteps will make it sure. Lord, I surrender the fear of falling short. I lay down the expectations I was never meant to carry. I open my heart not to the approval of man, but to the quiet affirmations of your Spirit. Speak into the quiet of this morning a truth that holds me steady, one that I can return to when voices rise against it. Let your truth be the root beneath every decision I make today, every conversation I hold, every thought I entertain. May I live not from fear but from fullness. Even when the day brings confrontation or confusion, help me remain rooted, not reactive, but responsive, not hurried, but held. Let my breath align with heaven's rhythm, not the chaos around me. When I forget, gently bring me back, not with condemnation, but with compassion. You are not counting my missteps. You are catching me in them. You are not waiting to punish, but longing to restore. I remember now how many times you have carried me, unseen. How many prayers you answered that I never voiced out loud. How many tears you caught before they even fell. I remember the grace you extended before I even knew I needed it. And in that remembrance, I find rest. Not the kind of rest that comes from escape, but the kind that is birthed in trust. The kind of rest that lets me breathe deeper, even in the tension. God, you have not brought me this far to abandon me. You are not fickle. You are not forgetful. You are faithful. Even when I lose sight of what you are doing, help me remember who you are. You are not a shifting shadow, but the steady light. You are not a distant deity, but a present refuge. And you have not just seen my story, you have shaped it with care. So I place this day into your hands, not reluctantly, but freely. I choose to meet each moment not with dread, but with expectancy. Not because I know what is coming, because I know who is already there. I do not have to control the outcome, to trust the one who holds it. And even when my hands feel empty, I know that yours are full of mercy, strength, and wisdom. This is not blind faith, it is deeply rooted confidence in your character. The kind of confidence that does not rise and fall with circumstances, but stays planted like a tree beside still waters. I will not chase peace anymore. I will receive it. I will not chase joy. I will let it rise from the inside where you have planted. I will not chase perfection. I will walk in grace. Every breath I take is a quiet declaration that you are not finished with me. Every sunrise is an unfolding of promise. And in the sacred space between what was and what is to come, I will choose to be fully here with you. In you. For you. I may not have all the answers, but I have the anchor. And that is enough. When the shadows stretch long and the noise of the world grows louder, I will return to this moment and remember. I will remember the stillness. I will remember the nearness. I will remember the way you reminded me of who I am and whose I am. And I will carry that remembrance like a lantern, lighting my way when the path becomes dim. Because you are not just the God of beginnings, you are the God of every breath in between. Lord, as I continue to walk forward in the stillness you have given, my heart leans into this sacred rhythm of quiet obedience. The still water I felt before is now flowing gently through the edges of this morning. And with each breath I take, I remember that I do not walk alone. You are here, not just at the destination, but in every small, unnoticed moment along the way. There is peace in knowing that I do not have to orchestrate every detail, that I am not responsible for holding the world together. You are holding me. The hush that follows surrender is not empty. It hums with the presence of your assurance. In that silence, I can hear you more clearly. I can feel the weight of hurry lift, as if you are peeling away every layer of pressure I once thought I needed to wear. And beneath it all, what remains is the quiet strength of simply being yours. No striving, no proving, just resting in the identity you gave before I ever tried to earn it. Father, today I no longer ask to be impressive. I ask to be faithful. I ask to be present. I ask to be kind. I want to show up for the assignments you place before me, no matter how small they seem. Let my hands carry grace into spaces that have forgotten what it looks like. Let my words carry warmth into rooms that feel cold with fear or comparison. Let my eyes see people the way you see them, not through filters of pride or judgment, but through the lens of compassion. You never asked me to be loud. You asked me to listen. You never asked me to be perfect. You asked me to be willing. So I choose that again, here and now. I choose the quiet yes, the steady step, the unseen offering. I choose the slow pace if it means walking in step with you. I choose peace over platform. I choose depth over recognition. I choose roots instead of spotlight. And in doing so, I find a fullness that no applause could ever bring. Lord, I know there will be voices that try to rush me, systems that try to define me, standards that try to measure me. But your voice is different. Yours does not compete. It does not shout. It does not demand I become something I am not. It reminds me that I already belong, that before I said a word or did a deed, I was already loved beyond measure, that even if I paused every effort and laid down every plan, your delight in me would not change. I want to live from that place, from that secure knowing. Let everything I do today flow from it, not to earn love, but because I am already drenched in it. Let my intentions be pure, my heart be soft, my motives be aligned with heaven. If I am given a platform, let it be for your glory. If I am given silence, let it be filled with gratitude. If I am given hardship, let it birth perseverance. And if I am given joy, let me not cling to it selfishly, but let it overflow. There is nothing more freeing than living in harmony with your presence. The world tells me to rush, to compete, to consume. But you tell me to be still, to to delight, to abide. And in that abiding, I realize I lack nothing. There is nothing I can add to what you have already declared complete. You finished the work of love long before I even woke this morning. You established my identity long before I ever tried to shape it myself. So I hold loosely to every plan I thought I needed. I release the rigid timelines and self-imposed expectations. I open my hands and let your spirit write the rest of this day. I want to be someone who notices the sacred in the ordinary. Someone who stops to smile. Someone who listens long enough to hear the H behind someone's silence. Someone who chooses gentleness over rightness. Someone who creates space for others to breathe. God, if today asks more of me than I feel I can give, remind me that your strength is not borrowed, it is shared. It lives within me. If disappointment creeps in, let me bring it to you quickly. Dante, let it harden me. Dante, let it settle in like a shadow. Shine light over it. Let honesty come without shame. Let vulnerability come without fear. Let my weakness become the place where your glory can rest. And when I forget again, and I will draw me back with tenderness, redirect my steps gently, restore my wonder. You are not looking for flawless perfection. You are shaping a heart that reflects yours. So even when I get distracted by the noise, the news, the numbers, the nonsense, pull me back. Speak truth louder than any lie. Lead me back to what matters most. Every breath is a chance to begin again. Every moment is an invitation to stay near. You are not waiting for the right conditions to bless me. You are already here. You are already working. You are already weaving glory into the quietest corners of this day. And I want to see it. I want to be a participant, not a bystander. I want to partner with you, even in the smallest acts of obedience that no one else may see. Let me not underestimate the power of presence, of love, of hope whispered into broken places. Let me not overlook the miracle of one kind word, one patient act, one unexpected grace. You move in mystery, yes, but you also move in moments. And I do not want to miss them. I do not want to be so consumed with what is ahead that I forget to live this one sacred breath at a time. So I ground myself here in you, with you, for you. I may not know what is waiting on the other side of this sunrise, but I know that you are waiting with me, and that is enough. My worship not be confined to songs or settings, but woven into my response to every person I encounter today. Let it be lived, not just spoken. Let it be seen, not just sung. And when night comes again, may I lay my head down not in weariness alone, but in gratitude, not from exhaustion, but from the deep satisfaction of having lived this day aligned with you. No spotlight, no striving, no needing to prove a thing, just the quiet joy of a life walked in step with the one who made me, knows me, and walks with me still. Lord, I return to you again with this quiet heart, shaped by the stillness of the morning and the tender lessons whispered in the shadows of the hours before. The path I walked with you yesterday softened places in me that once held tight to fear. And as I sit here now, I sense how grace moves even in silence. Even when nothing changes outwardly, you do not rush transformation. You craft it patiently. gently, as only a loving father can. As 1 hour surrenders to the next, I realize how often I overlook the beauty that rests in the ordinary. But you do not. You delight in the details. You meet me in the folding of laundry, the making of breakfast, the drive through early traffic, the sound of birds brushing the morning sky. These quiet rhythms of life are not insignificant when they are filled with intention. And today, I ask that you teach me how to live every moment intentionally with awareness, with humility, with a heart turned fully toward you. Father, I want to see this day not as a list of tasks, but as a garden to be tended with patience, care, and faithfulness. I want to walk slowly enough to notice the people beside me, to pause when someone speaks, to really listen, not just with ears but with compassion. Let me not move so fast that I miss the sacred nudge to be present with someone who is hurting. Let me not become so busy that I forget the sound of my own soul or the quiet calling of your spirit. You are not just in the mountaintop moments or grand breakthroughs. You are in the small, hidden things, the gestures no one else sees. The words whispered in prayer, the tears that fall in private. And even when no applause follows, you are still proud of the unseen offerings. You celebrate obedience more than performance. You cherish honesty more than perfection. And I want to live in that truth today. God, strengthen me in the quiet work. Strengthen me when I clean up messes others ignore, when I show kindness to someone who will never repay it, when I choose to bless instead of curse, when I forgive without receiving an apology, when I trust even while I wait. Remind me that every faithful act becomes a seed, and in your time, you make it grow. Even when I feel unseen, I am never forgotten. Even when I feel weak, I am never without your power. Help me steward what is mine without comparison. Let me not long for someone else's assignment, someone else's gifts, someone else's platform. What you have given me today is sacred. Even if it feels small, you are not measuring the size of my impact by numbers or results. You are looking at my heart. So let it be found faithful. Let it be found soft. Let it be found full of trust. Lord, if doubt begins to whisper again, remind me of the stones you have already laid in my journey, the moments when you came through, the times you held me up, the seasons you carried me when I could not walk. Let the memory of your faithfulness become the foundation beneath my trembling. Let it steady me when fear threatens to steal my joy. Let it anchor me when storms of uncertainty roll in. I do not ask for a path free of struggle. I ask for courage to face the struggles with grace. I ask for the kind of strength that does not come from willpower, but from surrender. The strength that leans on you, that walks even with shaking legs, that speaks truth even with a breaking voice. The strength that says yes when it would be easier to run. And in those moments, fill me with the peace that passes understanding, the kind that does not make sense to the world, but makes all the sense to my soul. I know there may be things ahead. I do not expect interruptions. Hard conversations. News I did not prepare for. But I also know this. Nothing surprises you. Nothing is beyond your reach. Nothing is outside the realm of redemption when placed in your hands. So if my plans shift, Help me trust if my expectations fall. Help me forgive if my dreams are delayed. Help me hope again without bitterness. Let joy find me today, not because everything is perfect, but because I choose to look for you in all things. Let gratitude rise, not from outcomes, but from the miracle of this breath, this life, this love I receive even when I do not deserve it. Let laughter echo through the halls of my mind, even when sorrow tries to linger. Let light push back every shadow of discouragement and lift my eyes toward your goodness. Lord, build in me the character that will remain when applause fades. Shape in me the gentleness that comforts the weary. Teach me the humility that serves without needing to be noticed. And cultivate the faith that speaks life into the dry and barren places first in my own heart, then into the world around me. I ask not to be known, but to be consistent, not to be admired, but to be authentic. Let me be more concerned with the posture of my heart than the perception of others. The work you do in me be the loudest sermon I preach, the clearest reflection of the grace I have been given. And when I grow tired, which I will remind me that rest is not weakness, it is worship, it is trust in action. Teach me to lay down what I cannot carry, to release what was never mine to hold, and to breathe deeply of the freedom you offer. Let me make space in my life for stillness again, for quiet, for beauty, for connection with you. Every moment I spend with you becomes an anchor for the moments I spend in the world. Every word you whisper is a lantern for the path ahead. I do not know what I will face, but I know who walks beside me. And in that knowing, I find everything I need. So let this day unfold not according to my will, but according to your design. Let the moments of interruption become sacred invitations. Let the mundane become holy. Let the unseen become unforgettable in heaven's eyes. Let everything I touch carry the fragrance of your presence. Wherever my feet walk today, walk with me. Wherever my voice is heard, let it echo love. Wherever my hands reach, let them bring healing. And wherever I go, may it be said that you were there, because your light never left my side, and your grace carried me through every hidden hour. Father, as the morning stretches farther into the heart of the day, I return to this quiet place in my soul where you continue to meet me not with noise, not with demands, but with a gentle presence that steadies every restless thought. The peace you offer is not just a break from chaos, but a complete reordering of the way I see the world. After walking through the gentle reminders of grace in the previous moments, I come again, longing not to rush but to rest deeper in your rhythm. It amazes me how you do not ask for perfection to meet with me. Only honesty. I bring this heart as it is sometimes worn, sometimes anxious, sometimes wondering if I am enough. And yet, in your nearness, the striving softens. I do not need to be impressive. I only need to be present. I only need to stay. And so I stay, not because all is well, but because I trust you are making something well, even in the waiting. Lord, remind me again that my identity is not built upon how much I do, how well I perform, or how others perceive me. It is built on the unshakable truth that I am yours, before any labels the world assigns. before any accomplishments or failures, before any expectations are met or missed. I am already fully known and loved by you, and nothing can remove that seal of love, not my mistakes, not my fears, not even my doubts. You are not intimidated by my humanity. Today, as I step into the demands ahead, let me carry this truth like armor. Let it guard me against the lies that tell me I must earn what you have already given freely. Let it protect me from the voice that tells me I must rush through life to find value. You are not in the rush. You are in the sacred slowness of surrender. You are in the moment I pause to listen, to see, to breathe with purpose. When I feel unseen, remind me you see. When I feel unheard, remind me you listen. When I feel small in the face of big responsibilities, remind me you are the one who gives strength in proportion to the assignment. I do not need to carry this day in my own power. I was never meant to. I was designed to walk with you, not ahead of you. And in that walking, I find enough for the next step. There is something holy about the simplicity of trust. Something profoundly strong about a heart that says, even if I do not see the whole picture, I still believe you are good. Let that kind of faith be rooted in me today, not the loud kind that boasts certainty, but the quiet kind that holds on even when the winds rise. Let that faith shape how I speak to others, how I respond to interruptions, how I carry myself when things do not go as planned. Lord, fill my words with gentleness and my actions with kindness. Let patience grow in the pauses, and let love rise in the hard spaces where it would be easier to shut down or walk away. Help me be someone who restores rather than tears down, who listens to understand rather than respond, who reflects the grace I have received instead of demanding what I think I am owed. You are not just God of the mountaintop or the miracle. You are God of the hallway, the waiting room, the middle ground, and in those spaces where I am tempted to feel forgotten. You are teaching me to lean, to abide, to deepen my roots in truth that does not change with circumstance. What you have promised, you will finish. What you have begun in me, you will carry through. And even if today brings no grand breakthrough, it still carries weight when I walk it with you. Let my eyes stay open to beauty, not just the kind that takes my breath away, but the kind that gently returns at the steady beat of grace in the normal, the overlooked, the repetitive. Let me see you in sunlight filtered through blinds, in the way the breeze stirs the leaves, in the laughter that breaks tension, in the tears that release what words cannot. All of it, every ordinary thing, is touched with your presence when I choose to see through eyes of gratitude. Teach me not to despise the process. Teach me to honor the slow becoming. I do not want to skip the sacred layers that form me in the hidden places. Even if others do not see what you are doing in me, I know you are not wasting one moment. You are shaping endurance, humility, resilience, compassion, and these are not small things. They are eternal things. They matter more than the spotlight. They prepare me to carry whatever you entrust me with in the days ahead. I ask for help in the little things. Help me to wake with grace, to begin tasks with joy, to finish without complaining. Help me to meet challenges with steady breath, to see people as souls, not projects, to speak with intention rather than reaction. Let each yes I give today be rooted in conviction, not obligation, and let each no be spoken from peace, not guilt. Guide me to discern what is mine to carry and what is not. God, restore what feels frayed inside. You see the edges of my heart where discouragement has worn thin the hope I used to hold more freely. You see where disappointment has settled like dust on promises once vibrant. Blow through those places again. Let the breath of your spirit awaken joy. Let the fire of faith be rekindled not from striving, but from surrender. Even if the day ahead holds struggle, let it also hold softness. Even if it brings challenge, let it also bring your whisper. Even if it confronts me with my own weakness, let it lead me deeper into your strength. This is not a battle I must win on my own. This is not a story I write by myself. You are author and sustainer, the one who writes redemption in places I only saw ruin. I place in your hands all the names that rise in my heart, those I love, those I carry with me in spirit. May they be blessed, protected, seen. May your love reach them wherever they are. And if I can be a vessel of that love today, show me how. Let me serve not from obligation, but from overflow. Let me give not to prove anything, but because I have received so much. I do not want to live numb. I want to feel deeply and live fully. I want to notice what matters and hold it close. I want to step into this day with eyes wide open and a heart rooted in trust. I want to love well, speak truthfully, forgive quickly, and live gently. And I want to do all of it with you at the center, not as a fleeting thought, but as the heartbeat of my every step. So I rise with intention, I walk with reverence, and I hold this moment as holy, because you are here, because you are near, because nothing today will separate me from your presence, and nothing I face will be greater than your grace. Father, in the stillness that lingers after I have surrendered my fears, I come to you again, not to ask for more, but to dwell longer in what you have already begun. There is something sacred about staying a little longer in your presence after the noise has died down and the heart has quieted. The world urges me to move quickly, but your spirit teaches me to remain, to breathe, to listen with the ears of my soul. What began with a simple longing to be near you has now deepened into a quiet trust, a gentle anchoring of my spirit in the truth that you are the constant in every change. When the wind shifts direction and the path ahead is uncertain, I do not need to panic or grasp for control. You are already there, present not only in the answers, but in the waiting between the questions. Even the shadows do not hide me from your eyes. Lord, teach me to embrace what I cannot see. Let me walk forward not because I understand every detail, but because I trust the one who sees the end from the beginning. You do not demand blind obedience. You invite faithful companionship. You walk beside me as a guide who knows every hidden bend in the road, every detour that leads to growth, every valley that humbles and lifts at once. You are the God of patience, never in a hurry to rush me past the lessons hidden in slow seasons. You are not frustrated when I come back to you with the same questions. You do not grow weary when I need reassurance again. You are steady, like the ground beneath my feet, and you do not change when I am fragile. I find refuge in your consistency when the world around me wavers. Let today be a quiet declaration of that trust. Let every thought that rises be filtered through your truth. Let every reaction be softened by the awareness of your nearness. I do not want to live disconnected from the source of my peace, and I do not want to treat prayer like a moment to tick off, but rather like a breath to return to again and again throughout the hours. Let it be the undercurrent of all I do today. In the places where I have grown weary of waiting, speak new hope. In the areas where I have silently accepted defeat, stir courage again. In the corners of my mind where fear still whispers, shine the light of your truth until every lie is silenced. I do not need a dramatic sign or a sudden shift to believe you are working. I only need to rest in the truth that you are always near, always moving, always good. Help me to love the people I meet today with the kind of love that does not measure or compare. Let my kindness not depend on the mood I wake up with or the way others treat me. Let it flow from the grace I receive every morning without earning. Let my words not simply sound kind, but carry the weight of truth, compassion, and encouragement. Let them build bridges where there were once walls. If I encounter anger, let me respond with calm. If I meet resistance, let me meet it with prayer instead of pride. If I walk into spaces filled with anxiety, let me carry a peace that does not come from perfect circumstances, but from the awareness that you are with me, and that is enough. Let me bring light not by trying harder, but by surrendering deeper to your presence within me. Give me eyes to see beyond appearances. Let me notice those who feel invisible. Let me hear what is not being said, the silent burdens, the unspoken needs, the quiet cries behind practiced smiles. And when I do, let me not turn away. Let me lean in. Offer warmth. Extend grace, even if it is just through a word, a glance, a gesture that says, "You are not alone, God." There are moments when the weight of the world feels like too much. There are days when hope flickers and fatigue presses down. But even in those moments, remind me that I do not have to carry it all. I am not the savior. I am simply a vessel, invited to release what I was never meant to hold and receive what I cannot earn. In my weakness, you show up strong. In my silence, you speak softly. In my surrender, you build strength. Let me approach this day not as a test I must pass, but as a gift I get to open. Let me not race through it trying to check boxes or prove my worth. Let me walk through it with curiosity and reverence, noticing the details, honoring the pauses, embracing the imperfection. Life is not found in the highlights, but in the quiet in-betweens where your hand is still writing a story I can trust. Lord, bring clarity where there is confusion. Bring assurance where there is doubt. Let discernment rise where decisions press in. Let me be still long enough to hear what your spirit is saying before I speak, before I act, before I rush ahead. Keep me rooted in wisdom, grounded in truth, and flexible in love. Let me not cling to control when surrender is the better way. Remind me that I am not behind. I am not late. I am not disqualified by what I do not yet know. I am being shaped, slowly and intentionally, into someone who reflects your heart. That shaping may not be loud or flashy, but it is holy. And I choose to trust the hands that mold me, even when the process is hidden from my view. I give you my gifts and my limitations, my strengths and my insecurities, knowing that you use both. Nothing is wasted in your hands, not a broken dream, not a painful past, not even a simple morning prayer whispered through sleepy lips. You gather every word, every tear, every desire, and you transform them into something sacred. You weave meaning into every moment surrendered. As I prepare to step into the rhythm of the day, I ask for eyes that see wonder again. Let me not grow numb to beauty because of familiarity. Let me marvel at the morning light, the scent of coffee, the sound of laughter, the warmth of touch, the tenderness of a conversation that opens a heart. Let all of it be a reminder that you are not distant. You are here, in the middle of the ordinary, making all things holy. Even when nothing extraordinary happens, let me still say it was a good day because I walked it with you. Even if the tasks are small, the schedule simple, the progress unseen, let the joy be found not in the outcome, but in the presence. Yours, mine, shared. This is the place where life begins again each morning. And so, I step forward gently, knowing I do not need to have everything figured out. I only need to remain open, available, willing to be led. The one who walks beside me is faithful. The one who goes before me is wise. The one who dwells within me is strong. And because of that, I lack nothing I truly need. Keep my heart soft, my ears open, and my hands ready. Let this day be a canvas of grace, a testimony of trust, a quiet unfolding of what it means to live fully alive in your love. Father, as I rise again into this sacred stillness, I carry the gentle peace that yesterday left behind, a peace that did not vanish with the dusk, but waited faithfully through the night to greet me in the hush of this new dawn. It is not loud or boastful. It does not demand my attention with dramatic gestures. Yet it wraps around me like a quiet assurance, whispering that I am seen, known, and cared for before I lift a single finger or speak a single word. From the moment I open my eyes, I am reminded that this life is not built on striving, but on grace. Not earned by performance, but sustained by presence. Not measured by how fast I move, but how deeply I trust. And so, I start again not by doing, but by being still. Surrendered, open. This is the posture you invite me into before the demands of the world press against my skin. This is the place where my soul finds breath. God, your mercy has carried me farther than I ever deserved. Not once have you withheld your love because of my shortcomings. Not once have you shamed me into silence when I returned with questions or fears. You are not a judge watching for failure, but a father who rejoices in my return. Even when I limp, even when my voice trembles, you run to meet me, wrap me in compassion, and speak words I have longed to hear. You are mine. You are safe. You are still loved. This morning, I need that reminder again, because there are moments when I forget who I am in you. I measure myself by things that do not last, by accomplishments, by validation, by expectations too heavy to hold. I chase affirmation from places were never meant to define me, and I end up exhausted, disconnected, unsure. But you pull me back to truth. You remind me that my identity is not a question mark. It is a declaration. Beloved, chosen, held. Let that truth reshape how I live today. Let it quiet the noise of comparison and fear. Let it soften the edges where pride once ruled and awaken humility, where insecurity used to hide. Let me walk with a confidence not rooted in my strength, but in the unshakable foundation of your character. I am not enough by myself, but I am never by myself. You walk with me into every unknown. You stand beside me in every challenge. You go before me to prepare the ground I cannot see. There are things ahead I do not yet understand. Decisions waiting for discernment. Conversations that may require more grace than I think I have. But before I step into any of it, I lay down my own agenda. I place my hopes and hesitations into your hands. If I must wait, teach me to wait with peace. If I must move, teach me to move with wisdom. Let nothing rush me but love. Let nothing lead me but truth. In the details I overlook. Be present. In the places I dread, be my courage. In the interruptions I once resented, show me divine opportunity. Help me see with your eyes to notice the hurting behind the smile, the weariness beneath the laughter, the need hidden in silence. Let me not be so consumed with what I am doing that I miss who you are calling me to love. Make me a quiet presence of peace in a world that so often shouts. Let my words carry light, not just volume. Let my posture welcome, not intimidate. Let my heart remain uncluttered by offense, ready to forgive quickly, eager to extend grace before demanding understanding. You have forgiven me more than I could ever repay. Let me mirror that mercy without keeping score. In the moments I am tempted to react from pride, anchor me in patience. When I feel unseen or overlooked, remind me that nothing escapes your attention. When discouragement creeps in uninvited, fill the empty space with fresh hope. When I am faced with decisions that feel weighty, remind me that no step taken in faith is ever wasted. God, I do not want a life that looks impressive but lacks depth. I do not want a routine that functions well on the outside but is brittle on the inside. I want a life that breathes with sincerity, one where joy is real and love is rooted. I want to walk through each day with awareness, with wonder, with gratitude that does not depend on outcomes. And I want to learn how to carry your presence not in dramatic displays, but in quiet devotion, in ordinary moments made extraordinary by your touch. Let me notice the sacred in the seemingly small today. The childlike laughter, the way the sun warms the window pane, the quiet rustle of wind through leaves, the sudden thought of someone I need to check on, the unexpected moment of clarity, the breath of stillness in the middle of a busy afternoon. Let none of it be missed, for all of it is holy. And when pain or disappointment visits me, let me not panic or shut down. Teach me to meet it with honesty, to lay it bare before you without shame, to let my tears be prayers that words cannot form. For you do not turn away from brokenness. You move toward it, you sit with it, You enter into it and bring something beautiful from what felt unbearable. You have never asked me to be perfect, only present. Never demanded I fix myself, only return. And so, I return again and again, not because I have failed, but because I have remembered this is where my heart is strongest, where my purpose is clearest, where my burdens find rest. I return not in shame but in longing, not in defeat but in hope. Help me to believe, even when nothing changes quickly. Help me to trust, even when the answers are slow. Help me to stay near, even when distraction calls louder. And in it all, let my life become a quiet echo of your grace, a whispered testimony that even here, even now, you are enough. So I offer this day as an altar, not polished or perfect, but honest. I place my plans, my questions, my worries, my joys, every thread of this unfolding day into your hands. And I trust that in your hands, nothing is wasted. Every moment becomes part of a greater story, one you are writing with love and wisdom and eternal vision. Thank you for the gift of starting again, not because I deserved it, but because mercy always arrives with the morning. Let this be the day where I stop waiting for everything to be right before I feel peace. Let this be the day I learn to sing even with questions, to give even when I feel empty, to trust even in the fog, to love even when it is costly. Because you are near, because you are good, because grace is always enough for the next step forward. God, as the stillness of the early morning cradles my heart once again, I feel the quiet invitation of your presence, gently continuing what began before the light touched the sky. There is no need to rush, no pressure to perform, only the soft unfolding of trust that keeps drawing me near. What I placed in your hands yesterday remains safe today, and what I do not yet understand continues to be held by the one who never sleeps, never forgets, and never turns away. The ground beneath my feet feels steadier when I remember that peace is not the absence of trouble, but the presence of you. It is not found in the removal of problems, but in the quiet strength you pour into my soul when I choose to lean instead of run away. And this morning, I do not ask for escape from the discomforts of life. I ask for courage to walk through them with a spirit that refuses to be shaken, a heart that refuses to close. Father, you remind me that faith is not always loud or seen. Sometimes it is simply the choice to stand again, to breathe deeply, to move gently when everything around me feels unstable. Sometimes it looks like waiting longer than I thought could, listening when I long to speak, releasing when I desperately want to hold on. In those moments, when my emotions try to carry me like a wave, pull me back to the anchor of your truth. You have been patient with me, teaching me how to live from a place of surrender, not scarcity. When I thought I had to prove myself, you whispered that being loved was never something I had to earn. When I thought I had to understand everything before I could trust, you simply stayed, waiting with me, walking with me, reminding me that your presence is more valuable than any answer. Today, let my faith express itself in simplicity, in the way I pause before speaking, in the way I notice the overlooked, in the way I hold space for others instead of filling every silence. Let faith be a quiet confidence that walks alongside others without judgment, a steady presence that does not push but gently encourages, invites, and restores. May my life be a mirror that reflects not perfection, but patience, not power but compassion. Lord, help me to be faithful with what is small before I am trusted what is great. Teach me to show up with excellence in the unseen places, to honor my responsibilities without resentment, and to find purpose even in the tasks that feel ordinary. Because nothing is ordinary when it is done with love, and no act is wasted when it is offered with humility. Let me be generous today, not just with resources, but with time, attention, and grace. Remind me that interruptions may be divine appointments, that slow moments may be sacred, that someone's heavy heart might be waiting for a kind word I could easily offer if I choose not to rush. Help me to walk with my eyes open to needs, not just to schedules. And when I feel like I am falling behind, remind me that I am not running someone else's race. The timeline of my life is not in competition with another. Your plans for me are not delayed because someone else arrived sooner. You are not in a hurry, and you are never late. My job is not to outrun others, but to walk closely with you. One step, one breath, one yes at a time. There will be voices today that try to distract me, voices of fear, of pride, of comparison, of doubt. But I know your voice. I have heard it in the stillness, in the comfort, in the conviction, in the calm. It does not shout. It does not accuse. It does not manipulate. It calls me by name. It leads me by peace. It teaches me what matters most and frees me from everything that does not. Let me silence the inner critic and embrace the truth that I am still growing, still becoming, still being refined in the fire of your love. I do not have to have it all figured out to be deeply used by you. My weakness does not disqualify me. It simply opens the door for your strength to shine. Let me not hide my cracks. Let them reveal your light. Even in the waiting, you are working. Even in the setbacks, you are shaping. Even in the silence, you are speaking. Teach me to hear you in new ways, not just in the grand moments of clarity, but in the daily whisper that steadies my soul and pulls me forward. There is beauty in the unseen and strength in the slow. Let this be the kind of day where I choose peace before I feel it, where I choose gratitude before the gift arrives, where I choose love before it is returned. I do not want to live reactive to circumstances, but responsive to grace. Let me enter rooms with a calm spirit, not because I control outcomes, because I know who holds the future. God, when anxiety knocks, let faith answer. When disappointment visits, let hope stay longer. When fatigue speaks, let joy respond. You are not only the God of the mountaintops, but the God of the middle places, the errands, the routines, the questions, the stretch. You walk with me not just in victories, but in vulnerability. Let my heart be free from striving. Let my words carry healing. Let my silence create space for others to be known. Let my choices build bridges, not walls. Let me be a vessel that pours, not a container that hoards. Let my life sing a quiet melody of trust and gratitude, even when no one hears but you. I do not need to know what tomorrow holds if I walk with you today. I do not need every answer to have peace in the unknown. I only need the next faithful step. And I trust that you will meet me in that step with grace that is enough, strength that does not run dry, and mercy that reaches deeper than my doubt. So here I am again, Lord, in the sacred slowness of this morning, choosing to begin not with a plan but with a prayer, not with control but with trust, not with striving but with surrender. Let today be a testament not of what I accomplish, but of how I love, how I believe, and how I reflect the one who never leaves my side. Lord, as this morning journey begins to draw to a pause, not a finish, but a sacred slowing, I feel the weight of your nearness wrap around my soul like the hush of early dawn. Each word I have spoken, each cry whispered in the quiet, every hope laid bare before you has not disappeared into the air. They rest now in your heart, held more tenderly than I could ever hold them myself. And even as the sun rises higher and the rhythm of the day begins to call me outward, I am not leaving this space. I am carrying it within me. There is something holy about this silence that follows after prayer. It is not emptiness but fullness, not absence but presence. A deep and quiet knowing that even when words fade, your companionship remains. I do not walk forward alone. I step into today, held by the very one who shaped its hours before I open my eyes. You are already waiting in every moment I have yet to live. Father, I thank you for the grace of simply showing up each morning, for reminding me that I do not need perfection to enter your presence. I only need honesty, willingness, a soft heart turned toward you, and you meet me here again and again. Not with condemnation, but with comfort. Not with demand, but with invitation. You ask for nothing but my trust, and in return, you give everything I did not know I needed. In the quiet of these mornings, you have taught me to listen differently. Not to every voice that shouts for my attention, but to the voice that steadies me, the one that does not demand, but leads. You have taught me to rest in the in-between, to live in the middle without fear, to believe that life does not have to be loud to be meaningful, that sacred things grow in the hidden places, beneath the surface, in the unseen corners where faith takes root and quietly blooms. And now, as I prepare to step from stillness into motion, I carry with me the peace I have found here. I carry with me the softness of surrender, the weightlessness of trust, the gentleness of a spirit anchored not in outcomes, but in you. I no longer measure the success of a day by what I can produce or how much I can control, but by how well I remain connected to you, to others, to the deep place within that knows I am already enough, because you are already here. Let this be the kind of morning that colors the rest of the day with hope. Let what begins in stillness move outward in compassion. Let the way I listen reflect how I have been heard. Let the way I love mirror how I have been loved. Let the way I see the world be shaped not by fear or fatigue, but by faith that every small act matters. Every gentle word echoes beyond what I can see. Lord, help me to remember this sacred rhythm, that I can return here anytime, That prayer is not a ritual bound by time, but a relationship that walks beside me in every moment, that I can whisper your name in a crowded room, still be heard as clearly as in the silence of dawn. That no matter where I go, the quiet place you and I share is never far. It lives inside me now. Let me go gently through this day. Even if the world feels sharp, let me speak softly. Even if others shout, let me move with peace. Even if the ground feels uncertain, let me respond with love, especially when it is not deserved. Let me offer grace where I once might have withheld it. Let me pause before reacting. Let me breathe before deciding. Let me yield where I once tried to force. Let me bless, not just with words, but with presence. This morning has reminded me that I am not here by accident, that there is a deeper story unfolding through every ordinary moment, that the smallest gesture may carry eternal weight, that I do not need to be seen by many to be known by you, that quiet faithfulness is never wasted, that staying close to you is the only way I will ever truly stay grounded. Stay joyful. Stay whole. And so, as I rise from this quiet space, I do not rise alone. I rise with a soul stirred by grace, with hands ready to serve, with eyes open to wonder, with feet prepared to follow. Whatever comes, I will meet it with you. Whatever surprises or struggles wait, they will not catch you unaware. I need not prepare for every possibility. I only need to stay near the one who holds all things together. Thank you, God, for being the steady beat beneath my uncertainty, for reminding me that peace is not a destination, but a decision, that it is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of trust. That when I make room for you in the morning, I see you more clearly throughout the day in the laughter, in the tension, in the small graces I would otherwise miss. As I move forward, let me do so not with rush, but with reverence, not with panic, but with patience. Let me be a person who brings light into heavy spaces, whose presence leaves others better, not burdened. Let the light of this morning prayer not fade with the hours, but burn quietly in every word, every action, every breath. Let it be a quiet fire that cannot be quenched by noise or need. If I forget what I have prayed, remind me in the gentle moments. If I grow weary, bring me back with a whisper. If I lose perspective, realign me with peace. Let no part of this morning's offering be lost. Let it become the foundation of something sacred and lasting. Let it ripple through my day like the scent of rain, subtle but unmistakable. To every heart who has walked this prayer with me, thank you. You are not alone. Your quiet mornings are heard in heaven. Your whispered prayers echo in eternity. What you offer here matters. Your faithfulness in the quiet places is changing the world in ways you cannot yet see. If these words have met you in your silence, if they have steadied your breath or soothed your soul, I invite you to share your reflections below. Your voice may be the echo someone else needs to hear. And if this journey has nourished your spirit, I welcome you to subscribe to this channel and share this video with someone who may need the same reminder that every morning is a new beginning, and every breath is a chance to return. Keep coming back. Keep showing up. Keep choosing faith, even in the unseen. The journey is not over. It is only beginning again with the first golden light of morning, the hush of a breeze through open windows, and the quiet promise that you are never, ever alone.